So I just finished another Voices from the Sperrins podcast. My guest was Maurice Bradley and Bernie Gray. We chatted about the early days of traditional music, céilís, old house concerts, Maurice's journey and his musical journey, Bernie's journey on the Ballinascreen Traditional Group, and lots of good stories in between. And we also had a few verses of a song by John Gray called The Rushes. And it was a really good podcast if you want to know about where it all started in Ballinascreen, where the music came from, those that kept it going over the years, the different céilí bands, Six Towns band, accordion band. There's different bands we mentioned, different people from the area we mentioned. So hope you enjoy it. Log in, and thanks to everybody that's listened to the podcast so far. Our downloads in Podbeam are in the thousands now, which we're over the moon with, and the YouTube. So feel free to give us any comments, good or bad, or anything in between, and we'll pick them up and get back to you. So thanks everybody for listening, and here it is, and hope you enjoy it. Thank you. Welcome to another Voices from the Sperrins, Take 55. It's a bit like writing a trad song here at the minute. So welcome to another Voices from the Sperrins. My guests today are Bernie Gray and Maurice Bradley. Bernie is involved in the Ballinascreen Traditional Group. You're the chairperson at the minute. Mm-hmm. You're married into the Gray family. That's right. Family steeped in traditional music and song.
Yes, that's true.
And we made a wee nip of a song after as we go through the podcast. Mm-hmm. And Maurice Bradley, a master of the violin, fiddle. See, I said that. They thought I would do that there. So I am going to get it right.
That's a fiddle.
Maurice, master of the fiddle and the Uilleann pipes. And also you were a lecturer in Derry, and also you're love Irish culture. You're a fluent Irish speaker. You're both welcome to speak to me here today. Thank you very much for coming in. So I'm going to go back to the early sort of musical traditions connecting the past with the present, I suppose, with this wee bit here. So, Maurice, Ballinascreen was described by Edward Bunting as a poetic district famous for harp making and the preservation of ancient Irish melodies in their original purity. That seems pretty... Would that sum up this area, do you think?
There was a long ancient tradition, partly. We had the harp makers, the O'Kelly family, Cormac O'Kelly and his son Manus O'Kelly, or Cormac na Dlarsha, he was called. And at the harp, the Presbyterian merchant classes in Belfast decided that the harp tradition in Ireland was on its last legs, so they decided to gather together the last harpers at the meeting in the meeting rooms or the assembly rooms in Donegal Street in 1792, just to gather the remnants together to see if they could collect music or what could be saved. So there was an old man at that festival. He was about 90 at the time, called Dennis Hempson, and his harp was made
That's the man there.
In 1719.
He had the long hair and all, he was a bit of a rocker.
He could have been
a wee rocker there. He's got the wee Oasis hair, got to roll with it, Dennis.
He looked the part anyway.
He looked the part.
Yeah.
I tell you what, he's well dressed, too.
Yeah.
So what was the story then?
His harp was made in 1702 by Cormac na Dlarsha and his son Manus na Dlarsha. And these O'Kellys were descended from a very ancient family in the parish. I think Sean O'Donovan described them as the hereditary Shanahys of Glenconkyne. Mm-hmm. And I think Pat Lowry mentioned about them fending off a Viking attack.
He did, yeah. They were hardy, I don't know what's right, were hardy bucks.
Animals of the Four Masters, so they were a tough crowd.
Yeah.
But they were into Shanahys and history and music and that. So they were the same O'Kellys. And this man, Dennis Hempson, I suppose like many as a young fella, he was blind and that, and he was taken on by a patron, a man called Councillor Canning from Garva, who bought him the harp and kind of set him up, and he was taught by some woman O'Kane, wasn't it? O'Kane, and so he ended up years later playing at this festival, and he played in an old style. He had long nails. He played the harp with his nails, and played kind of the music he played was a bit more ancient than the rest of the people who were there. They were playing O'Carroll stuff, which he considered pop music, like, kind of nothing to do with it. But so,
I know someone like that there sitting there. The elevation of music you're talking about there.
Each to their own. I would support that.
So basically, just interesting. So the big nails. What was the crack? Was that something?
That was the way they played in ancient times, and it's probably lost. I think maybe Paul Dooley, does he do?
Paul Dooley still works.
Is he a current?
Well, Paul Dooley, remember I was saying I give you this piece of information here. He actually came up to St Mary's and did a harp workshop. So he actually makes his own wire strung harps, and as he's the only person that I know that actually still plays with the long fingernails.
There we go.
So and he's from Galway.
And there's a picture, Bernie.
His fiddle as well.
Yeah.
So just going back, just before I just chatted about we were saying about Cormac O'Kelly and about the harp for people out there, because I know the Uilleanns could probably tell a fluent story off that story. Just for people listening, do you want to say how that come about, and then the Cormac O'Kelly harp itself and where it's based now?
Well, what happened after that? His first patron was this Councillor Canning. He made people in between, but he ended up his final patron was a Reverend, was it Bruce? Harvey Bruce, I think. He was the Bishop of Derry and Raphoe. He was based in Downhill, up near Port Stewart, where Mussington Temple. So that's where the harp ended up. And then I think after that, it turned up being sold at a junk shop or an auction or a junk shop. And it was bought by the Guinness Company. They got it for their museum in the brewery, and that's where it is to the present day. Mm-hmm. I'm sure Bernie can tell you all about the replica and the... Yeah,
but for people out there to know it has become an iconic brand.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah, that's true. Yeah,
do you know what I mean? Yeah. And it's something that's recognisable if you say a certain type of beer. Mm-hmm. Should we mention them here? You already have. Mm-hmm. Guinness. Do you drink it, Bernie?
No, I'm a pioneer, Paddy, so no, I don't.
Bernie, I'm pausing for a minute there. I don't know if I need forgiveness or a good kicking for saying that to a pioneer. Could I just ask, have you got the 25-year super badge?
I have.
For people out there,
I have indeed.
You get different badges for so many years.
I suppose I could do the 0 one, Paddy. I could, yeah.
You said, Maurice, would you protect the stifle of life?
I think that day is gone now.
But would you in the past?
Oh, would have, yeah.
Would it have been the likes of the Arthur Guinness? Aye, would it?
Aye, well, that's... taking out a pint,
that's good. So that's that ad for Guinness. We'll ask him for the money after we've done this podcast.
So we didn't plug it.
Bernie, it leads in well now. You were just going to show there about Replica Harp. You have a story about that. Would you like to tell the people out there how following on from the Cormac O'Kelly?
Yeah. So Ivan Devlin and Seamus O'Kane were involved in producing a replica harp, and Ivan's husband Jeglin as well. So they went and they took a wee slither of the wood because they wanted to be able to reproduce it exactly as it was. So they discovered that the original harp was made out of alder. So there was a TV documentary done sort of showing the development of the harp, right from them cutting down the tree, finding that, like, they had to find the proper tree, find a tree that they were actually going to be able to work with. Yeah, exactly. And the sound box of it, obviously that's the bit that makes the music. It was a man from Cork, if I remember rightly. He was involved in making it. And Ivan Devlin, at that time, was the music teacher up in St Mary's Primary School, and at that stage our Anya was she was P7, so Ivan was very keen obviously to get the harp and get it started, So once the replica was made, it took them quite a long time to get it made. And obviously it had to be sort of playable. So as well as it looking like the original, they also wanted to make sure that it actually sounded as close to the original as possible. And then Uilleann, she wasn't a harp player. She actually played the fiddle herself. So she had went to various workshops and started to play herself. But she was very keen on getting some of the children in the school to play. So Anya was just at P7 at that stage, and she was she had played the tin whistle, and she was playing the fiddle at that stage as well.
Multi-instrumentalist.
Yeah, that's it.
Like Maurice there.
Exactly. And she just fell in love with the harp. Obviously it was a wire strung harp.
Yeah.
So very different from the modern harps of today, which are carbon fibre. So whenever Anya started to play it, like all her fingers were blistered because you
had to be dedicated.
Absolutely.
It's for the love of the art.
That's exactly it. Exactly,
so
Paddy.
I see a picture there. Is that it there then?
That's that. Yeah, that is the replica. And then Uilleann got one made as well for her own use in the school.
Brilliant.
And then it was that one that Anya, because obviously they didn't want anything to happen, because it's inscribed and all as well.
Just was noticing. And so the one, the Downhill Harp had all that inscriptions on it at a stage.
Yeah, and it still does.
Yeah.
Like I have a photograph, because we went down to see it down in the Guinness Brewery.
Brilliant.
So I have photographs sent to in earlier on, and it shows that just the same inscription.
That's brilliant.
And
what is it that just is written on the side of? Do you know? Or
the time of Noah was it?
Is it like an old biblical type thing?
Yeah.
Well, I'll leave the biblical to Morris or Bernie.
I have it on I have it on the photograph, but I just can't remember. In the time of Noah, I was green.
Yeah.
Paddy threw a curveball in there. Did you see that?
Paddy, aye.
See that?
If I had my phone, I could read
the
it.
Queen of Music, you call me, that's the last bit of it.
Yeah.
It was an interesting quote, all right.
It's just for people out there, that maybe because there's people listening from all around America and everywhere here, Bernie, and they'll probably be real interested in that story what you're talking about there.
The serpent on the head, that was to do with the pest, wasn't it? The Glen Conkyne, apparently, remember the monster that was killing everything around it. That was represented on the snake or the kind of at the tip of the.
There you go. There it is.
So in the time of Noah, I was green. Since his flood, I had not seen until 1702.
I was found by Cormac O'Kelly underground. He raised me up to the degree, the Queen of Music, you may call me.
It's a great quote, isn't it?
It's a fantastic quote. And for everybody out there, we should put it in our T-shirt after this podcast.
Absolutely,
I think it's class.
Yeah, definitely.
So for people out there, I suppose, what we get out of that is the connection already with the harp in this area.
Yeah.
And that probably one of the most famous, iconic images of a harp has come from this area, as Maurice says, and where we are today with it all. So there was another thing I wanted to bring up. I don't know if any of you know about this. The fiddle gradually replaced the harp. In Ireland, I suppose in the early days. But I wanted to just chat about. There's a fiddle-shaped headstone in Moneyconey. John O'Donnell died 1717. Do you know anything about that, Mars?
I know it exists, but I wouldn't know the background to it.
That there is just amazing. Did you know that, Bernie?
No, I
read the start out all wrong because I was trying to kill the fiddle for the harp and the harp for the fiddle. It's about like
it seems a long way back because the fiddles didn't come in until later.
There's a big question mark beside it here.
Is it the fiddle?
Which would mean, is it the truth or is it not the truth?
Could be someone else.
But I think it's the truth. But look, I'm going to take on now to a wee thing. I'm just to my left here because I'm sure the people notice here there's a lot of trophies and bits and pieces of stuff and all. And so I've got this here. It's South Derry Fiddlers, 1900 to 1950. And so there's the book there. Like I think this book came in from, was it John McQuiggan? So it came in from, you know, some people know as Curly John. And so there's a few, I'm going to hand you a few, so there was a few players in this book from Ballinascreen that I wouldn't have known, I suppose, who they are. So I'm going to hand that over to you, Bernie, and you and Maurice take a wee look. And as I say, I've got a gentleman here. I'm going to put him up. A lot of people would probably know him from the Higgerty family.
Oh, yeah. Is that Benny?
That's Benny Higgerty. So just for people out there, Benny would have been one of the, I suppose, the old-time players, Maurice, when you were young.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was a teacher. He taught a lot. He taught his own family, and then he taught classes up in the Coltes as well during the 70s, yeah.
And so these old books here, you know, I know you've got a lot of, it's remarkable to have something so old in my hand.
I've never seen that.
There you are. And isn't it amazing the research we can do in this?
Yes, absolutely.
And, but so, like for me here, so you have James Bradley. You can, so if anybody knows, I was Ballinascreen, Maurice.
Doesn't ring a bell now.
George Barnett.
Or Geordie Barnett, yeah.
Geordie Barnett.
He made fiddles as well.
There you are. John Brawley.
No, never heard of him.
There you are. Norman Clark.
No.
Daniel Curran.
No.
It's like a roll call for school here. I tell you what, see this class here? This is the worst attending class. And I'm with two educators that I've ever witnessed in my entire life, right? Patrick Donnelly, are you here?
No.
No? Peter Duffy, are you here? Andrew Dugan?
No.
John Gillespie?
No.
Bernard Higgerty?
Well, he must have been some of the Higgerty connections.
That's Benny. Would that have been Benny there? That's the same photograph.
Father Patrick Hearn.
Well, Patrick Hearn played the fiddle. You're kidding.
There you are.
There you go.
I didn't get it by telephone from him, but
oh my God,
it's here. So, Father Michael Hearn.
Would that be his brother, or he had a brother, a priest?
You know, in them days, you big family, couple out there to the church. Bridget Kelly.
Is that Miss Hugh Kelly?
Yep, that's correct.
Yeah.
That's correct.
Oh, she played all right. Yeah, her fiddle came from the Six Towns. Actually, there was a family that lived up just before the big glen. Before you turn up, there were Taylor. Did you ever hear of the Taylors? They lived there, and they had there was a boy, Robert, played the fiddle, and it was a really good fiddle. I remember trying to play it at a Colter session. I wouldn't even only messing about with it, but there was a really good sound of it. I remember, and she got that fiddle out of there. So
there you go.
Any idea where it is today?
Oh, I think maybe some of their relations, or I met Anne the other day, and I was asking her about that, and I think it's maybe some of their own in-laws have it, you know.
But it's still in existence.
I think so. Yeah.
And so, John Kelly, is that name? No. James Kearney.
No.
Felix Mullen.
I remember Felix. I remember Felix well. Yeah.
So Felix, we showed a film here recently from Father Collins' his nephew. And so Felix was on it. I think he was the last remain. You know, I think he was the last remain in one of his family to actually.
Yeah.
And that's him.
He was a saddler and all that as well.
That's right. Yeah. That's right. Did you mind that shop there, Bernie? John, you'd mind the shop there? Yeah. And would have done sort of all the horses stuff.
John Hutchison, yeah.
Benny.
That's Benny there.
That's Benny.
In full glory. So that's Benny Higgerty. And so the styles of playing for them people then,
looking back at it, it's interesting, you know. I was listening to them playing for the dancers outside on himself and Felix Mullen, you know, and it is a particularly northern style of fiddle playing. You know, when you were younger, you didn't think about these things, but it was very. Benny had great kind of technique, like, you know, he did a bit of sussing of violin technique and that, and they could get a great strong tone out of the fiddle.
Yeah. Well, there's Felix there.
That's Felix, yeah. It's a wee bit like the way they play in Cape Breton. It's a bit Scottish in a way, but not Scottish either. And the phrasing, it's great.
And there's Irish dancing.
Great strong playing for dancing, you know, and very.
Do you
strong
recognise any of them people in that?
Well, Felix Mullen.
There could be people out there watching it, you know. Jeez, that's me there.
What year was that then?
I reckon that was about
It was 1967.
60, yeah.
1967.
That's
Yeah.
Angela O'Loughlin.
Angela Loughlin's.
I was 5.
That's Angela, and then she went on.
Yeah.
Pretty good, you know.
That's Miss McSwiggan's sister.
That's
Who
right.
taught me.
Did you do the Irish dancing?
I
man?
did there, yeah. So
We could
that's-
turn on a wee bit of jiddly jig. And Q McKenna done a wee dance for me when he was on here.
very good
and we're
time.
singing the night and the dancing and everything. And
Yeah,
Morris
yeah.
has brought his instruments behind that. And there's a crowd in there waiting on us to come out and do a gig after this. So,
Take 2.5 door.
Another night, Paddy.
but I suppose them people we looked at there, they would have been, I suppose, the early founders of what, these people in this, here, like all being from Ballinascreen, like
It could have been pretty far back, a lot of them, maybe nearer 1900 than,
1900s.
there you go.
Yeah.
So,
There was Daniel McBride, who lived up beside the chapel there, known as Daniel McBride the fiddler, of course. My brother's a good photograph of him standing outside the house playing the fiddle, and my father said when he was at school, coming home from the primary school, he used to be walking past, he could hear him practicing, So he was known for, and he would have been playing for house dances and stuff, So
that's really good. And see, there's other ones there, I suppose we'll call them out when they're in there, and people maybe that be listening might know. Tom Shields, Samuel Taylor, Michael McKenna, Patrick McKee.
well, Taylor might have been the connection, the Six Towns, where was a Killy got the fiddle,
There you go. John McGuigan, Wally McShane, Bernadette McAllister, and Hugh McElwee. That is the line out, Bernie. Now, just bringing this line up as a teacher, that's a bad turnout there. Bernie, is it?
There is,
Is there detention there for that?
possibly, Paddy.
42
possibly.
Killies you must attend. And get no tea, no biscuits, no sandwiches, all right? And that's brilliant.
That's it.
No, that's really good. It's just good, I suppose, to have a bit of history like that, isn't it?
Yeah, that's
With
it,
people,
yeah.
and
And as you say, somebody listening might jog a memory.
it might jog a memory,
Yeah,
and I
yeah.
say, and there could be people listening, and that memory. I say we seen a thing there. Was that the one we seen with Dan Macaulay and Felix and Andy McGuigan and all that wee clip? We flew through it earlier on there. Do you want to show that just to call the people out that were just on it, just for people maybe listening locally? So
That's
this is
really-
an old footage of a wee bit of I suppose céilí, Morris. And there's
Yeah.
Bridget Manning. There's Bridget. there you are.
Yeah.
Bridget.
You would definitely recognise Bridget.
And there's Benny there.
Bridget's
And
in
who's
that,
that?
Fancy Frank.
There you go.
So he would have lived down the 5 Mile Street.
There's wee Andy McGuigan, and there's Benny again, and I think there's a couple of other ones there. Maybe if
There's
we,
dancing on them, isn't there?
Yeah.
And they're all good too,
they're all good dancers.
Good.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's Andy again. Good smile there. And Andy's family, the boys still doing music. There's always music in Andy's house.
Oh, aye,
yeah,
yes.
yeah.
Different type of music there. But
Yeah, that's rock and
Yeah.
roll. It's rock and roll, Mars.
that's it.
that old stuff.
Goddamn power chords. What are you about?
Not our cup of tea.
Them old power chord boys. No, that was good. But in 1975, the last Killy band formed was by Art McAnally, Ballinascreen
Ballinascreen,
Killy band. Do you want to talk about that, Mars? And if you, can you remember
maybe played
that?
a wee bit with them. We used to go over and we'd do Killies in Plumbridge the odd time, and maybe over into East Donegal as well. There was kind of quite a big interest in Killies at that time, and there was good attendance. And there was Jody Ward and Jim Ward from the Loop down, and Joe Ward from the Plum. He played the drums a wee bit, and I think I maybe bluffed a bit in the banjo or something. I played a bit in the whistles as well, but they're busy enough,
And what kind of where would when you say Killy, were the halls or pubs?
Wee
Or?
halls, yeah, just local halls.
Yeah. And then there was Art, and I see here in the Killy band, there's Art, Aidan Donnelly, Michael, John, Francis, and Patrick Higgerty.
Oh, aye, that's a different lined up. It's kind of like that was nearly before.
Aye.
The art. What did they call that? The Ballinascreen then too.
No, it's Ballinascreen, Killy.
I was thinking it was a different band,
There
This
were
one here is called St. Column's Céilí Band.
St. Column's Killy band.
Yeah, and we're looking at the 1960s for this one.
Yeah, Ballinascreen would have been
In 1975.
Late 70s. Late
yeah,
70s.
yeah. I flew ahead there. Because we had flashbacks there, it took me back to the harp days, and then I just got lost in the Highlander field.
A couple of centuries out there.
I always was
Fast
good.
forward, Paddy.
I lost 10 years there, Bernie, to rock and roll. Morris threw me when he talked about rock and roll there. But look, the thing about it is, I suppose, that's Dan McCauley there in the drums.
Yeah,
And there's
I
John
see
McGuigan,
that.
we talked about Curly John,
Yeah.
Felix Mullen, Andy McGuigan again, and Michael Trinner. I don't know who that. Do you know Michael Trinner? I knew everybody else there.
Was he come from Cookstown, maybe? Was
There you go.
There was somebody who used to teach called Trainer from Cookstown. Or
They lasted for over 10 years. They had a few albums out, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Bernie had a good long career, hadn't they?
They did indeed.
You know, for a
Paddy.
Killy
They
band.
did
The band
indeed,
for
Paddy.
Killy's back in that
That's
era,
back
yeah.
in the end, yeah.
No, it's pretty good.
they would have travelled probably around a good bit as well, you know.
There you go. There you go. And so I suppose what was the form of transport in them days? There would only be one person of it. What would
A
it be?
van maybe or something.
A van just bumped on the back of a van on the road, or a tractor maybe. So, and then next band, there seems to be a lot of Killy bands and different bands in town. The Six Towns Accordion Band. And so we're going to call out, some would say there's a man out there looks a bit like me. And so I want you to pick out who that man is, right? And so, Bernie, do you want to have a bit of a chance to think where I am in that?
Glasses,
You're definitely in it, Paddy. No, a relation.
Well, I hope so. Some say it's me dad.
Oh, there you go then.
So we'll pull up. Right, so we'll go to the left-hand side, Morris. That's
Art McAnally.
is it Art or is it the old Francis?
Oh, Francis, sorry.
Francis
Francis,
McAnally.
my size,
And I know that Mickey. Let's see, where's that? No, Mickey McNamee is in it.
His dad.
His
I
dad.
can't really see. John McNamee, John Huey,
Yeah,
Paddy Conway, Paddy Tammy,
there you are.
Barney. Was it Frank Barney or maybe I'm not sure about him now, but Quinn. What do you call him? Was he Frank Quinn? Oh, God, he was a friend of my father's. I should have. Then Charlie McCrory, Charlie Arden, Seamus Hagen, Art at the front there. Who's that behind?
That's me, Morris.
Is that your dad?
No, it's not really me. Fucking hell, I've been incarnated again.
Not quite sure. I should know all these. But
That's my dad there.
is it?
Paddy, aye.
All right.
There you
Where's
go.
the
Your
picture?
namesake as well.
There you go.
I don't know who the old boy at the front is now. That's my dad.
That's your dad there.
Yeah, aye.
Oh,
And that's John McNamee looking around the corner there
at the back.
at the back.
That's Mickey's dad.
Oh, wow.
Wee
you can
Aoife, he's in
see.
here. She's a good wee singer
That's
and
right.
performer, so it's in the
you
family
can see
too.
the resemblance there.
Yeah,
now.
that's brilliant. And
Who's the next man there? I should know all these. But well, we got Brian Quinn. That's the name, Brian Quinn.
Brian Quinn.
Aye.
There you go. So that's a super group band there from Six Towns, from the
An
homeland.
accordion band.
The 50s, wasn't it? That was the 50s, I think, wasn't it?
There you go.
The time of the Jubilee of the chapel, wasn't it? They had to play at that.
Yeah, they were a boy band before boy bands became
Yeah.
cool. No, right, Mars?
That's
Is it all right to say they're a boy band before boy bands became cool? And they were playing the right music and all that there. But no,
That was outside the Six Towns Primary School, I think, maybe.
that's really good.
Yeah.
And so the Cultus in Ballinascreen, it started between 1969 and 79. It was Glenn Colin Cahan. Is that what you said?
Glen Conn Cahan, aye. That was the original name of it.
So the branch first members were Seamus Kerrigan, Bridget Kelly, mother of Anne and Colin, Felix Mullen and Art McNally. Benny Higgerty also may be involved. Can you remember back to that
Ethna
time?
Donnelly as well.
Ethna Donnelly.
Yes.
There
So
you
it
go.
might have been Ethna thought of the name because the Irish teacher background. Like
There you
that,
are.
So. And you mentioned Seamus Kerrigan. Yeah, I was asking Seamus O'Kane from Dungiven about this. He confirmed and it was about 68 or 69, I think, according to him. So it was still in the
69, yeah.
60s.
69, 79, they were going, yeah.
Okay. And what was the story about the Glen Concain then?
Well, I suppose they just
Maurice.
picked an ancient name for the territory that would have, way back before the plantation, there was this whole area, was in a big wooded area called Glen Concain that covered Ballinascreen, Desert Martin and Kilcronahan. And there was the myth, of course, about the young boy going to the chapel and started picking the nuts or whatever it was, and he hid them somewhere, and he came back. There was a pup in the ditch, and he took the pup home, and so he should have went to mass or whatever he was delaying about, so this is punishment. And the pup grew into a monster and started eating everybody's stock and then started on the humans after that. So it became...
So what was worse, that or plantation, I wonder?
So your boy was called Cain O'Henry, it was his name, you see.
Yeah.
So Glen Cain was the word for dog, you see, or hound. The Glen of Cain O'Henry's hound. But eventually, apparently the story goes that, was it one of the O'Neills was in charge here, was it Brian O'Neill, and he offered anybody who could kill this beast as much land as they wanted, or they could see around them. And so the boy felt a bit responsible, and he discovered that there was a vulnerable spot on this creature, so he crept up on and speared him on this vulnerable spot and killed him. But then he went to O'Neill afterwards, who took him up to, was it Achineel?
Achineel, yeah. So that's where we live at.
There you go, Bernie.
At the end of our road.
They didn't eat your fountain, the Grey fountain, I'll tell
So
you.
Achineel is the place of O'Neill.
Yeah.
In Irish.
No, it's
yeah.
amazing.
It's a place called Fleadhs Erin or something. There's a hole in the
Yes.
ground. So he took your boy down into this hollow, and he says, your boy says, well, you're going to give me all the land I could see around me. And so he took him up to this place and says, took him down into this hole, and he says, there, you can have all the land you can see around you.
Yeah.
So
But he didn't get much land. So at the end of
they
our
gave him, but that's how the place, the Glen of Cain O'Henry's, or Cain's hound. So myth, and again you have that bit on the harp with the pests. So it was just kind of a recycling an ancient name, I suppose, for a coldest.
Brilliant. It's a brilliant story. And you're there now, Bernie.
and we're there now because
Does it
at the
feel
end
like a
of our,
mystical place?
Oh, of course, it's very mystical, yeah, especially the day, and it never stopped raining. But at the end of our road, it's called the Green Hollow. So that's where they reckoned that O'Neill took. Well, this is the story, obviously. It's just a legend.
It is a legend.
It's a legend.
And I'm loving it and believing it.
The O'Neills probably did do it,
Yeah.
But we believe they did do it, Maurice, right? We believe Bernie do it.
But the town land is definitely called Achineel. Like in the old Ordnance Survey maps, it's still down.
Place,
so
yeah.
there's definitely a link with.
That's amazing. That is amazing.
Yeah.
And so we're moving on a bit to 1987. There was a new branch formed. Committee members were John McGuigan, TP, I don't know if TP Hickson, a former himself, Michael Kelly, Frank Smith, Colin Murray, Tony Moore and Peter Higgerty. So 1987, I suppose, you would have been in the heart of playing at that stage at all
in a way, I would have been more familiar with the earlier days, in the 70s, because I was young, but I had kind of gone off to university and I wasn't around home as much, so I wasn't really that involved then, But I remember in the 70s, the music classes up in the hall, in the Colta sessions, and Seamus Kerrigan was MC, and you get people coming from the local branches from Dungiven, the Loop, Portland Owen, over from Tyrone, and Seamus Kerrigan used to be doing MC, and he ended the night every night with this quote every single night. There was some program in RT called by a woman called Maureen Potter, and she, at the end of the program, she used to say, now if you enjoyed the program, tell all your friends, but if you didn't, keep your breath to cool your porridge. And Seamus said this every night, So I remember that.
Very good.
And what was his role in it then? You were saying.
Well, he was kind of MC,
Aye.
somebody sing now or we'll have a,
And would he have dancers there?
There would have been dancing now, yeah.
Yeah, you'd have been dancing around that time, Bernie. Then.
Well, I suppose I started whenever I was primary school, so
Yeah.
that would have been in the 1970s.
Who
so,
would have been your teacher?
And initially, I started off dancing in Mahara, so I danced for Mrs. Close for a while,
Yeah.
and then Patricia
Shout out to Mrs. Close.
Mrs. Close,
Yeah.
who has long since gone to
Mrs.
greener
Close's
pasture.
family then?
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. And then at that stage, Patricia McSwiggan was starting up just, I suppose, dancing classes in all the local clubs.
Yes.
So at that stage, then she started one up in Slankneil, so they were very keen to get people to go. And my older brother Michael would have played football or hurling for Slankneil. So whenever she started up in Slankneil, then myself and my sister Helena and all our cousins then went up to Slankneil, and we danced then for her. And then at that stage, the South Derry Fesh would have been a big thing here in Ballinascreen.
Yeah.
So it would have been on every summer, and
Up in St. Columns. Yeah.
up in St. Columns
Yeah.
in the school. So I remember dancing in the primary school, on the stage in the primary school, and also on the stage in St. Columns. And then there would have been the swing boats and all that down,
Yeah,
and the
yeah.
swinging chairs down
Oh,
in the Fair
health,
Hill.
safety, perfect. Health
Yeah,
and safety.
absolutely, absolutely.
It's a bit like the old playgrounds years ago, you know.
That's right,
You looked at
yeah.
them and you thought somebody had just blown the playground up, but that was your playground.
That's right,
Wasn't
that
it?
was it, exactly.
Maurice, you understand that. You know what I mean by that.
Oh, yeah.
So
Oh.
I think
Yeah.
it's that sort of before health and safety
Before
became...
health and safety became
and nothing ever much happened. Like,
No,
you know,
not at all.
No.
But it was, suppose it was a big event, like for the town and for this
so
parish.
the likes of for yourself and all with Mrs. McSwiggan, who obviously produced a lot of teachers, after, you know, the people who would have taught dancing after that.
Yeah.
And is that something you ever thought about yourself?
Definitely not.
No.
And no, unfortunately, Paddy, I wasn't that talented. But funny, back in the 80s then, so I'd sort of stopped the solo dancing, but in the 80s then down in Braca Hall.
Yes.
So a lot of the older people will remember the céilís in Braca Hall. And Seamus Scruggan from Monaghina, who's long since gone
God
to his
rest.
rest as well.
Yeah.
He was actually our teacher. So every
There you
Thursday evening we had Killy Classes. So
Brilliant.
like I would have been a teenager at that stage, but myself and all our friends, like, and neighbours would have went to the Killy Classes.
That's really good.
And then there would have been a Killy then once a month. So there was the Jim Lynn Killy band would have came, and the McStalker Killy band down from Tim. So and we had a ball, and it was all young people.
And so was that like a regular thing for you then?
Yeah, so that probably went on for maybe, I would say, 4 or 5 years.
Yeah, and that's the form of like is it like set dancing?
It's
no?
not set dancing
No.
now. There's Killy dancing.
Killy dancing.
Killy dancing. So the Killy dancing would be like your Siege of Venice and your Walls of Limerick. And
I'm nodding here as if I know better.
Yeah,
Just
yeah,
for people
but
out there.
the people,
I've
they'll
researched this.
know.
Morris, I know. Show us a wee bit. Can you do a wee jiggy dig with your feet there?
I suppose the Killy dancing would be more your 3s and your 7s.
Yeah.
And Sweets and May and High Call Cap and those sort of dancings, 16-hand reel.
And how many people are we talking about? Like,
Well, in the 16-hand reel,
16?
there was 16 now.
A squad?
And the Haymakers jig, there was 10. So there was five boys on one side and 5 girls on the other.
so that's people going down the floor, up the floor, flying across.
And so there would have been some of them, like say Sweets of May, you wouldn't have moved. So there was 8 people. So two sort of tops, 2 tops, and then 2 sides, or 2 at the top, 2
And
at
did
the
you have to
bottom.
wear the hard shoes, or was it
No,
soft?
we just wore trainers. I suppose you could have put your pumps on, but no, it wasn't heavy shoes. It was light.
And did you go
know.
to competitions then?
No, this was just purely
Just
for
crack.
this was just for the crack.
And the culture of it.
Yeah, that's
No,
it,
that's really
exactly.
interesting.
And then like once a month, then all the local people would have came. Some of them could dance, some of them couldn't. But it was just purely for the
It
fun
sounds
of it.
like it was a good community to get
It was
together.
brilliant, yeah,
And is it something
exactly.
that still happens? Do you still take part in things together, or is that something that's fading away? Do you
here
think?
now, like Colin Murray, he still has a set dancing
Yes,
class.
yeah.
So they run down in Unscubble every Thursday night. So
we were
I'd
chatting
go-
to Colin and thing, and they were talking about the history of that. That was that's deadly. So just when you mentioned Colin and them, was like just the link I was going to say out. So recently, after 37 years,
Yeah.
Colm and Bernie, God rest her, Seamus and Carmel,
yeah.
and
Nulla.
Nulla.
Yeah.
They were all. We captured footage that night.
Yeah.
It's
That's right,
At the
down
minute, it's in the Ethernet somewhere. But I'll give people, I suppose, there. Oh my God.
Yeah,
Bernie, I'm totally shocked. It's like, Morris,
haven't
I
seen
looked
this.
up at the sky there, and I don't know. So
You conjured.
it was like I conjured
Yeah.
it up like a magic man.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
so we'll just show it here now, and we've got what was going on. So I suppose, Bernie, for people out there, what was happening down at the Market Inn,
Yeah.
down at Morris's bar, was there was a gathering,
Yeah.
and there was you were playing some music. So I
Music, yeah,
suppose,
there was-
then at the end of it, there was a wee presentation,
Presentation.
for the ex-members. So we were also out when with yourselves up at Ballinascreen GAA.
Yeah, that's true.
So that was a gathering that we have footage of too. Do you want to describe what that was about? And like you were saying to me, it was like, is it the end of the year gathering?
Yeah,
and
yeah.
what happened there? And if maybe
So
you want to give a shout out to people maybe that supported you in that, and the
Yeah.
likes of your, to people that helped, and the players and things like that.
Yeah. Well, we have fairly, as I say, once those like Colm and Carmel and Seamus and Nulla, then once they resigned, then we formed a new committee, and then we had our sessions. Those monthly sessions would have been going anyway.
Oh, there's all the gang, your committee.
So yeah,
Do you want
there's
to
the
shout them out
committee.
there?
Yeah. So on the top left,
Sorry,
we
on
have-
the top left, I want to say something. The
Yes.
top left is going solo to Feeney, isn't that right?
Yeah,
we were chatting,
that's right.
weren't we?
Yeah, that's right.
Good
so
luck.
that's Amy Brady.
Amy Brady.
And she's a niece of Seamus's.
Yeah.
Then myself, I don't know what I was doing there, and Paula O'Hagan. So Paula's originally down from Portland Owen.
There you go.
And Paula she's a musician herself. She plays the fiddle herself, and she would help out Uilleann quite a lot up in the primary school.
There we go.
With all the wee musicians up there. So
Yeah.
she's a great asset to us all. You've got Paul Kelly, one of the descendants from the Cormac O'Kelly.
There we go.
Yeah. And then
The harp's flowing through him.
The harp, yeah.
Aye.
And his daughter, Shona, actually plays the harp as well. So she's learning to play
There
the
you
harp.
go.
Then you have Claire Kennedy. And Claire, all her children are musicians in the group as well, and playing away. And then we have Eilish McNamee, and Eilish, and you were talking about Aoife earlier. So she's Aoife's mommy, and so we've a brand new committee, and I
Because
suppose
they're all very happy looking there.
we are, yes, indeed.
It's not often
so-
you get a committee just coming out with big smiles like that there and going, we love what we do. We love what we
Yeah,
do.
yeah, exactly.
But I suppose looking into that, and then you go back all them years and years and years
Yeah,
ago,
yeah.
it always takes new people to keep old traditions alive.
That's right.
Would you agree with that there?
Definitely. And at the end of the day, while I might be the chairperson now, I don't see myself, as that. I'm just there sort of to carry on the tradition and to do the best I can. Our two girls play, well, our four, we've 2 boys and 2 girls, and they all played music down through the years. But the 2 girls, Anya and Eleanor, they're now tutors up in the
So they're passing
music
it on
classes.
again.
So they're
Yeah.
passing it on.
And that's a great
exactly.
model to do. Right?
Yeah,
If you can get people
definitely.
in to
And
do that.
At the end of the day, all we can do is make sure that what we have learned and what we have loved down through the years is passed on to the next generation.
Yeah.
And who does that is immaterial. It doesn't
Yeah.
matter.
Yeah.
But I suppose somebody has to do that.
Yeah.
Otherwise, the whole thing is lost.
And it's hard to build
And it's
them.
hard to, like even with COVID, with the 2 years of COVID, like that has had a really bad
Yeah.
effect on the musicians, because there was 2 years there that you had nobody starting off new.
Yeah, yeah.
And the people that had started then had sort of fallen off the bandwagon a wee bit as well.
Yeah.
So,
and that regular habit wasn't there then to go and practice.
That's it, exactly.
Yeah.
And, you know, if you don't sow the seed, then that's very difficult then to try and nurture that and develop it. Like,
yeah, and it's a very positive thing too, I suppose, because it means that you're always striving to get new people involved.
Exactly.
And I suppose now, with, as I say, with like every growing town and community, I think it's there's a lot of people who probably look upon this area as being quite innovative and supplying things that's going on. You've got great sporting infrastructure. And you've got Tripperstown Celtic raising money for their new pitch now, and you know, the GAA.
Young people, you know, there's a lot of young people moving back to the area, you know.
That's right, Maurice. And that's something people look at, you know, in the schools and what's going on. And I suppose, and that's, I suppose, for what some would say, and that's what this is about too, I suppose, for people looking in, that they're aware of what the community maybe looked like years ago.
That's true.
And how it's come through them years to now.
Keeping continuity with it.
That's it.
And developing at the same time.
Exactly. All the different groups are doing their thing, and you've steps and all. You know, a lot of great things. And industry
and
too.
Yourselves,
Everybody around Glasgowbury with me. But Maurice, I wanted to bring up now about yourself. Bernie, you seem to be like that driving force for your family and music, okay?
Yeah.
I had it with Q McKenna with his mammy céilí.
Yeah.
You know, that driver. So Maurice, when I was chatting to you way back, I suppose we bring this gentleman up, an R6 Towns man who'd been influential in you in your young days and introducing you to all the different types of events you were going to, was Art McNally.
Oh, aye.
And so how did that come about for you?
Well, I suppose I was getting interested in, there was a big, the revival of Irish music in the 70s and that, and I would have been listening to the radio and listening to groups like Chieftains and Planksty and Bothy Band and all that. And I was getting really enthused about it, but I hadn't actually started playing or anything. But eventually, I think I was down the Gaeltacht in Teelan from school or something one time, and somebody had one of them wee Armagh papers, books, tutor for the whistle, you know. So I got a couple of tunes, and then I realised that the music that I'd been listening to, a lot of it in my head, I was able to play it by ear, you know. So I started playing in my early teens, and I used to go to the music classes up in the St. Column, the whistle class with Sean McGuigan.
Is that Sean that's now
the priest? Yes,
Father Sean. There you go.
And so there was fiddle class, accordion classes, and whistle classes going on up in St. Columns that time. So I used to go down. There wasn't much going on in 6 towns. You had to thumb down to my class.
Was the nightclub closed then when you were?
So it was kind of exciting, you know. And then
who would have been about then? What people just for?
I would have gone to the cultus sessions on the first Wednesday in the month, and Art would have been at that, and. Of course, all the local, the Hickories and all those. It's kind of a vibrant enough community, you know, musicians, you know. And, so then I remember going over to the Fleadhs in Dungiven in 1976, the first county Fleadhs. And we went over on the Friday night. There was a big concert on in the ballroom in the castle, and they had the cultus star-studded touring group up from Dublin, you know, and Paddy Glasgow and Tony Smith and Sean Siri and the pipes, and it was just a great line-up altogether. And I'd never, you know, heard Irish music live before like that. And then they had the local musicians, Seamus O'Kane, Francie Brawley and all of them, they had their band. And it was a fantastic night, and I heard Uilleann pipes played live for the first time, which was going to be
a future instrument,
and I was taken by that. And then we went over to the competitions the next day on the Saturday in the minibus. Sean McGuigan took us over, and John Kennedy from Cullybackey was adjudicating. John was a real character, singer and whistle player. Taught a lot of ones down around Portland on that. I mean, he was a famous character. And then just going out around the streets after that, there were loads of. It was a great atmosphere in the early 70s because the whole thing was just reviving, you know. And you know, there was kind of an age of innocence or whatever, you know, when everybody was taking fiddles out of cupboards and whatnot, and then there was a busload of young ones over from Derry and of our own age, like, and I was really blown away by some of them. Like, you know, they were really good, like, you know. And I remember there was a shop. You know, as you head out at the White Horse there. there had been a shop had been blown up or something, but they had put a circle of stones around to block the place off, and there was a circle of young boys, teenagers sitting playing on the stones, and there was people like, I remember Dermot McLaughlin and his brother Joe, pipes and fiddle from Derry, who I just couldn't believe what it was they were hearing, and
Did it inspire you?
Oh, it blew me away. They still do.
Yeah.
So 50 years later, they're still the same pair of boys. And Frank Gallagher, who played with Phil Coulter eventually, and there was just the future stars sitting around in these stones. And again, they were playing that practice sets of pipes. Joe McLaughlin was playing, and I said, have to get that. Have to get started in the pipes. So then there was other old characters like John Luhern, blind fiddle player from Permroy. He was playing down the street. It was just so much going on,
Yeah.
And then
It felt like a community and a culture.
it was like someone had just a light had come on,
Yeah.
and that's had all come out of the woodwork. And then the Fleadh in Buncrana that year, 1976, that was the Fleadh to end all Fleadhs. It was Woodstock, of its time.
I hope they were wearing their clothes.
Where were you? I'm not so sure. But
Sorry, Bernie, for
it was
that
hot
there.
weather at the time, right enough. But I mean, the number of stories of things that happened to people and whatnot at that Fleadh.
Do you want to tell a few wee stories like about?
Oh, well, there's,
what we're talking the early 70s or
76
76,
it was. And I went over with Art, of course. Art just started going to Fleadhs with Art, and we would play here and there. And so I remember, now I've heard the story in different, I'm not sure of the authenticity of it now, but I remember there was Gabby McArdle, a singer from Fermanagh, and Len Graham, a singer from County Antrim. They said they were, at the end of the night, the streets were all very thronged and all, but it eventually died down, and they had a B&B on the main street, and they were heading to bed anyway, and they heard this awful racket outside and didn't know what was happening. Gaby looked out the curtains anyway, and I said, there was a cow coming down the street with a guitar stuck in her foot. But whether that is true or not, I think I've heard it.
Quite possible.
It might have been as tune as some of the guys after a good day's drinking.
Whether he's on the podium or not, I don't know what.
Oh, that's glad.
Very good.
The likes of that, I suppose, for people listening, the 70s was a rough time. We were all born in the mid 60s.
Yeah.
But was it a relief to get to Donegal, saying to something away from
When
here?
you know where the bar, there was this kind of, the sun come out or whatever, And I remember I was just looking at some of the footage of it on YouTube there, somebody singing the song Four Green Fields, and that was the kind of thing that was done at the time, and it was the atmosphere, but I mean, after that, again, there were, after the rest of the 70s, it would have been going to Fleadhs and all that around there, and then eventually my brother got me a practice set of pipes eventually, so my woes began then, and so he had a friend in Belfast who played a bit, and he started me up, but it was very difficult. In the 70s, the pipes had nearly died out in the country altogether. There was nobody making them, and the nearest piper would have been Derry or Armagh or Belfast.
Why was that there? Why was it?
I don't know. The pipes just...
Was it expense for people, or was it just a...
the music scene wasn't... The music was only reviving as well, the music nearly died out. But, but they were an awkward... I mean... They were a difficult instrument now, a failed experiment, some people said, but
they are nice when they work.
Well, they're nice, so the 2 days in the year of the work, but so I struggled all
and all the time in antibiotics or what?
you need to be on antibiotics.
Morris. Oh my goodness.
There you go, Morris. That's absolutely brilliant. And
unbelievable.
And who's that?
That's my niece.
That's your niece. And what's your niece?
She lives in Ballymena now. She never took up the pipes anyway. I watched to put her off them altogether. But
well, niece from Ballymena, you're now immortal.
Yeah.
She's immortal now, Bernie, isn't she?
Yeah, exactly.
And that's your home house.
It is. Yes,
that's
the front
brilliant.
step, yeah.
And as I say, is that like the very start when you started learning? Because I remember you up at the Faces, playing, and you always had a moustache, and you still have there. And because you're a really good player too. Do you remember? Would you?
No,
Bernie,
I don't remember.
I used to go to the
Morris,
fests and all. I'm really excited about them because
yeah.
because it wasn't just about dancing; it was about art and it was about
It
everything.
was,
You know,
that's
music
right.
and
Yeah.
poetry, isn't it?
That's right,
And
poetry,
and
that's
it was
right.
really good. And plus the fact you knew, as you said earlier on, the amusements were there. But there you are
Yeah.
again.
I didn't
there.
actually play the fiddle at that time. I was up in the school.
Was that a wee promotional one?
where the classes were going on, and I went into Francis Haggerty's fiddle class, and I just lifted the fiddle, and I didn't actually play at that stage. I was too young, you know.
That's brilliant.
I was thinking about it.
What age were you there?
I was about
Morris?
15. Yeah.
But as I say, like for the likes of you know, yourself, I suppose, Morris, and them early Fleadhs and gatherings, do you feel that's still there now, Bernie? You know, the way Morris would have been there. Like
Yeah,
you sound like someone, and John, that you're
yeah.
always bringing your kids to.
Yeah.
And like, did you feel it? Like I know I chatted to Morris about it, and you chatted earlier on about the different styles of music, different counties, when you
and
go,
very much there is a big difference. Like,
so what would
between-
that have been like then? Say, like I'm just making an easy one from here to Donegal. Was there a difference when your kids were going in competitions? And
There definitely is a difference. Like, even I suppose maybe not so much in Ulster, but like from if you like once you go from Ulster down to the All Ireland, there would be completely different styles. And nowadays, like, I suppose our Eleanor, we were just chatting the other night, and she was saying, you know, some of the groups, they're involved in the big grippy coal here in Ballinascreen, they would take it, like, so she would say, like, the music that they're doing is sort of a wee bit more modern, whereas some of the groups would be very traditional and sort of more back to the old fashioned ways, you know.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, I suppose it's all about
your own style.
Your own style,
Yeah.
and I suppose mastering, but never sort of, you know, trying as best you can to keep the whole thing going and to keep it as authentic as possible.
Yeah.
You know,
Is that like sort of gone back to the old style like Morris was on about?
And they're like the adjudicators, and Morris will know this. Like, there's some of the adjudicators that would be very traditional, and you know, that's what they're looking for, and they don't want to see you, veering away from that.
Yeah.
And then there's some of the more, you know, the younger adjudicators, and they're sort of thinking, well, you know, we could maybe tweak things a wee bit.
So
you know, without.
Is there conflict there? Do you think, Morris, between now and when was back in the day?
Oh, well, it's definitely changing already. There's no doubt about that, you know.
Yeah.
But I think there's room for it all.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
There's room. You need the traditional young people. There are certain young people who are traditionalists as well.
Yeah.
That's fine. That's important.
Yeah.
And then there's ones who want to. At the end of the day, music's expression, and you know,
Yeah.
you can't tell somebody you must do this, you must do that. Or
Yeah.
you have to
Feel it.
feel it. And I mean, as far as learning technique and all that and mechanics, you can do all that, but it's only a means to an end.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
if it's like Vincey Campbell, the fiddle player from Glenties, used to say, it's just like a spring well. If it's put down in one place, it'll come up in another.
So there's always room for more water to burst out, is what we're
As long
saying.
as you're expressing yourself and you're doing it, well. Like,
Yeah,
kind of-
yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
And I suppose that's down to just self-playing, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I suppose Morris says you have to have a good, you know, teacher initially, you
Yeah.
know, because if you haven't got that good base and then you learn bad habits, then it's very hard then to unlearn those bad habits.
Yeah.
But
You know-
it's a means to an end. As long as it doesn't become a straitjacket, that's the thing, you know.
Yeah, that's
Because
it.
traditional
Yeah.
music's not classical music. It's not
That's right.
pipe band or anything like that. I'd encourage young people with competitions and all that. It's grand. It can be a motivating thing.
Yeah.
But just because you're maybe not doing it the same as somebody else doesn't mean you're doing it wrong.
Yeah,
you know.
yeah.
That is
It's
very
your
true.
expression. Everybody's
Yeah.
got their own rhythm. They've got
Yeah.
their own taste, and at the end of the day, that's difficult to do. You know,
Yeah.
but you have to pursue that. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's called practice, isn't it?
Yeah.
To
Well-
what you're really into yourself.
You have
Yeah.
to listen to an awful lot of players and take what you like out of their music and try and develop it yourself.
Replicate it.
There you go.
Yeah.
That's good. So there were 6 County Derry. The first County Derry Fleadh in Ballinascreen was May 1977. Bernie, you're too young to
That's
remember
right. I wouldn't remember
You
that.
wouldn't remember
at
that?
all.
Yeah, I remember that.
Do you remember that, Morris?
Yeah, was that? Yeah.
Was it a hoedown day or was it a good weekend? Or
Oh, it was very good.
Was it? What about crowds in them days, you know? Was there a big crowd at it?
It wasn't overwhelming, you know.
Aye.
It was manageable, you know. It was civilized, you know.
Yeah. There was a lot of pubs then in the town compared to
true,
now.
yeah.
Yeah.
You know, so if you spread it all out, and
Yeah. There was people from all over Belfast never come up to it, you know. I remember. And,
well, I suppose that shows. I suppose like the traditional love of music. They're all interconnected. Is that all right to say? There's always a time you overlap each other. That
Yeah.
by traveling and
Yeah,
and,
definitely, and making friends.
yeah.
You know, that's the secret. You know, like we're, I suppose, trying to get the young ones to come on board, and then when they're on board, to try and keep them on board.
Yeah.
And you know, I suppose the only way you'll do that is if they have friends.
Yeah.
So like, funny, I was watching the Fleadhs on the TV last night, and they said, you know, they were talking about Scoledge down at the Fleadhs at the All Ireland, and they said, you know, people, they come back year after year to meet the friends that they'd met, you know, the year before.
There you go.
So it's a wee bit like
Yeah,
that,
yeah.
you know.
great for young ones, a great social life for them. And, you know, they have friends for life. I don't know, you know,
you've made friends for life.
Oh, God.
Yeah. And you had a lot of players you know, Morris, went on and played in pretty big trad bands too, you know.
Aye, well, you know,
Yeah.
you met them all kind of thing.
Yeah.
There's no big...
Egos.
Ireland's a small place, and you end up meeting them all.
There's no room for egos in the trad music.
Thank God. You know.
Yeah, that's it.
No. And there was another Fleadh in 1989 in County Derry Fleadh in Ballinascreen when John McAn was the chair. That would have been... So Bernie, you'd have been a few years old then, 1989.
yeah.
Morris, do you remember that? Was that?
It might have been added, you know, but I don't remember. I wasn't involved.
Where
in
would
it.
you have played then? Would it have been on in the street or in the bar? Or?
Oh, I maybe played in Reagan or something. That's where I remember.
Yeah. Oh, there it is there.
Ah,
Oh
very
my
good.
God, it just came out of the Ethernet again there.
Yeah.
And
Very good.
the wee, I like the wee brochures from them days, Bernie.
Yeah,
Eh?
very simple, but
Yeah, effective.
effective.
A festival
That's
of Irish traditional entertainment. Now that's a new one there.
That's it.
They dropped the
exactly.
music for entertainment there.
Yeah.
And so I think I can
County
kind
Derry,
of, I think that one in 1989 was really successful. There was a lot of people about it. Were you at it, Bernie?
No, I don't remember.
And,
I suppose because I was dancing, you see, then I suppose there probably was dancing, but I would have been more at the Fleadhs rather than at the Fleadhs. So
I suppose it's showing it. I suppose it shows that in the area going back in Ballinascreen, it's
Yeah,
always
so
been there, and there's always
been
been, and the two Ulster Fleadhs that
Yeah.
were happening, and that was 2001 and 2002.
I remember them.
Do you remember them?
I remember them.
Somebody sent me a photograph of that just yesterday, of the poster kind of thing.
Advertisement.
That fella McAn plays the fiddle, makes the songs. He was on the front of it as well.
Jimmy.
Jimmy, and myself, but still not
Very
playing.
good.
We were at the front of the picture.
I was on the poster, yeah.
There you go.
Yeah. Well, after that, yeah.
We'll have to get
Yeah.
that picture, won't we, Bernie?
Oh, definitely.
And,
That would be nice to see now.
And so I suppose, for yourself, Bernie, you know, when, where did your interest, obviously it came from the early days of dancing.
Yeah.
And then with your own family, then it would have switched to the singing and supporting the
them,
musicians.
yeah.
So what kind of journey had you got with your kids then? Just for people listening that maybe are coming into the world of, entering competitions or... and because behind every great person there's a great lady or a great man. There's always a great mentor, right?
Yeah.
And I think people... don't always thank their mentors. I had a mentor of mine, Miss Anne McAllister, and it was great to have her on and be able to thank her. And I think if you've got that mentor, and you have Art as a great mentor, and other players you played with. Yeah. So, had you kind of, when you went into this, had you got any kind of mentors, or did you just think, this is what I'm going to do, or did it just happen, fall into it?
It's sort of just, I suppose, mushroomed. I played the tin whistle as well back probably in the 70s as well in Maharab. But you just went to the classes. You know, there was no Fleadhs, there wasn't even any sessions. I don't remember ever going to a session. So you were learning tunes, but it was just all in isolation, and there was no means to an end. And I know Maurice was on about the competitions, and while the competitions can be sort of I suppose they can be very controversial, you know, because not everybody can win. But in a way, it's good because it does give you a focus then to sort of to work towards. So I suppose whenever, like our two boys, Padraig and Daniel, Padraig started on the banjo, and he was taught by Brona Graham up here in St. Columns. She would have been, and she is now a well-known banjo musician, like a very an accomplished musician.
There you go.
And she left, unfortunately, and went to university down in Limerick. Daniel then, he started the Boron, and I suppose so the idea was then in order to make sure that they sort of progressed and trying to encourage them, then they did go to the competitions, and they did. The two of them went to Ulster. They never got any further. But like Maurice was on about making the friends.
Yeah.
So the photograph there will show you. You know, this is what it's all about. You know. And
so this is a gal, and where's this at, Bernie?
That actually was in Fermanagh. It wasn't at any of the Fleadhs. It was just a group of our friends. So Eleanor was involved in the Sainture group. She played in the Sainture group in 21. Unfortunately, that was the COVID year. So they won Ulster.
Brilliant.
So the group went through to Ulster and went through to the All-Ireland. But the All-Ireland competition never actually took place because of COVID. So it was the only year that the competition never actually ran. So this was a group of the friends that she had met through the Sainture competition. So but at the Fleadh, that's what we do. You know,
so you have people you gather with.
Yeah. So and a bit like what we were saying, you meet them people, you don't see them like for months and months.
But you feel as if they're lifelong friends.
But they're always there. Yeah. And you know, you'll meet them at the Fleadhs.
You know.
Yeah. So you might meet them at the Derry Fleadh, you'll meet certain ones at the Derry Fleadh, and then you'll meet other ones at the Ulster Fleadh, and then you'll meet even more people then at the All-Ireland Fleadh.
Brilliant.
So, and the friends that you meet, you know, their children are obviously taking part in the competitions. So then we would go and, you know, support them whenever they're actually playing in the competitions, you know, because I suppose to get to the All-Ireland at that stage is, you know, a massive achievement. So you always like to support, especially the local people and the people that you know.
That's really good. And I suppose for the likes of for people listening, it's not always, as you say, about competition.
No.
And you can make lifelong friends just being a musician that wants to play in a session. You don't have to go to that is important that people know that as a group, everyone can come in and take a go.
Absolutely.
Because I don't know, maybe over the years, Maurice, you might have found people like that just, you know, they just do the music, Bernie, but they don't really...
and they don't bother. That's exactly. And I suppose you come to a stage like Anya and Eleanor now, they're too old, you know, once they got to 17, 18, that was them, they finished with the competitions. But now they're taking the wee grippy coal, you know, in the Ballinascreen grippy coal, and then they're taking part in the competition. So while they're not taking part individually, they're sort of representing. Well,
that goes back to, I suppose, that sort of dedication you did there, and it's and John and driving them around the country, and it takes diesel and maybe Red Darb there. Was it Red Darb, Bernie? No, Maurice is laughing there. What's this Red Darb stuff? There was no Red Darbs. Red Darbs only for tractors.
That's right. All right. That's right. And
for people who have to drive around the country back in the day, it might have been used. All right, not now. Okay?
Not now, definitely.
If a big lorry stop you now and pull your engine out and take your car away, there's no crack anymore.
That's right, Paddy. That's right.
So I suppose there was a wee story with yourselves about 3 individuals that played at the Royal Albert Hall.
Yes. So that's from our current grip, the Grippy Coal.
That's amazing. You want to tell from a start, how do you, like, because you hear things about I'm playing at the Royal Albert Hall. 15
Yeah.
million records later. And he's there. You know, how did you...
So there's it's a competition, so you have to
deadly.
get through like different stages of it.
Brilliant.
So the three, Gabby Flanagan is on the right, and then on the left is Aideen, so Paul O'Hagan, that's in our committee.
And Kieran, Paul and Kieran.
Yeah, Paul and Kieran, and then Rylan Kennedy. So Claire is also on our committee. So the three of them go to the St Mary's in Marfelt. So that's their school, and their music teacher put together a group there.
Brilliant.
And then they obviously progressed through the different stages then, and ended up playing in the Ulster Hall. Not the Ulster Hall, in the Royal Albert Hall.
Ulster
over in
Hall's
London.
next in the tour.
That's it.
And did they sing on their own? Did they just, or were they
No,
a
it's
group?
all as a group. It was a group. It's a wee bit like the group that we have in that's taking part in the Fleadh at the minute. So the Ulster Fleadh's on next weekend, and then our Grippy Cool is taking part, and those three are actually in our Grippy Cool as well. So
That's brilliant. And as I say, it's a great, I suppose, achievement for them. And then I suppose having that experience when it's like anything, like yourself, Maurice, having loads of experience at things, to pass that on, like we can't talk enough about that. Because everybody needs a mentor, don't they? And obviously there's a teacher there, it's a good mentor to get them.
That's right.
To that.
It's all the difference sometimes,
And it's real interesting that. Maurice, you brought up earlier on about a blind harpist, you know, but I just, the blind harpist thing, I wanted to bring it up because you mentioned when we were talking way back, when we were doing a bit of research about that, it was something a lot of blind people.
Well, there's smallpox, I think.
Could you want to explain that? What? Because just, I know we talked a bit about it, but it was real interesting, you know what I mean?
Well, I think it's just, it was a way of somebody with a disability making a living or surviving. You know, so the pattern would have been they were given a patron or a mentor who bought them an instrument, got them trained, looked after them, and take them. They travelled around. So it was the gentry houses and that, and that's really how they survived. So
brilliant, and it showed too. I suppose it doesn't really you know, you can still, like, there was a way of playing the harp even though you were blind. I think that's amazing. Do you think?
It went on in Europe as well. You know, it made them unique to Ireland. You know, it went on everywhere, I suppose. You know.
And you mentioned someone from here was like a blind harpist. No, was there?
No, it was a blind fiddle player. Maybe I mentioned there were a few blind fiddle players.
That's deadly too, isn't it? Like,
yeah, definitely. But I suppose the traditional music is played by ear.
Yeah. That's really good. Like,
and
you know, so basically, you know, I'm not saying they could get just steaming drunk and just close their eyes.
That's it.
They just knew what to do.
Get lost
Sharpened their hearing, I think, as well. You know, their consciousness to the music. You know.
So they be aware of other people maybe out of tune and never mind being in tune. So we've come here now to songs from Ballinascreen and who wrote them and how long ago. We have a wee one here. Bernie, you have one too, haven't you?
Yeah, I have the
original.
So
I should say,
record.
Bernie just outdone me in my research. Bernie has got the original. I don't know if you can get the original record in Hearn's shop over there.
No.
Promotion for Hearn's shop. You can buy this in Hearn's shop. How much? I don't know, Paddy. It's a pretty old classic one. What we say, $3.99.
No, definitely not. I think it's tenner, and that's
So it's $9.99 plus VAT, which will bring it over to tenner. So I know we'll chat a wee bit about this. Then we'll get a gentleman on to maybe do a wee song cover for us within the song. So the Moyola River lyrics on wall at Shepherd's Rest, written by Jared Tammy.
Yeah.
So maybe for people out there, because you know the way a lot of people, you know, there's a lot of people out there would hear songs and you would just think, oh, that's just about, but you never think that maybe the song was written locally or in the area of locality, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So what was the whole story with Jared Tammy then? I know there's Tammys, isn't that right?
Conway,
yeah. Well, just say the right name just in case.
Yeah, no,
I get a bad
everybody's other name.
Mm-hmm.
But So I'm a Pat Roddy.
Are you a Pat Roddy?
Pat Roddy.
See, only in Ireland, I'm looking for one of the Pat Roddies. All right, so what era are we talking about? 1845. Do you not know your history? You know what I mean?
Well,
So you're the Pat Roddies. And how did that come about? I know it's always a brother, is it?
We can go back. You can go back through your. I mean, there's these people looking up their. You see in TV searching for their genealogy. We can do it like that. You know.
No way.
You know.
Yeah. Do you want to explain out there the genealogy of Ballinascreen in 60 seconds? Go, Morris. Let people know how we do it.
It's patronymics or something they call it. You're named. You're after your father and your grandfather and your great grandfather. Keeps going on back. You know. So in our case, there would have been my father was John, his father was John, his father was Pat, his father was Roddy, and that was the Roddy who built the Six Towns Chapel, by the way, in 1850. Yeah,
there you go. There you are, Ben. For people out there, there's a wee bit of history lesson for them.
The house he was building was built in 1830, and then there was an old house on the other side of the road. My father said it was the original house of them that went back 100 years before that again.
Wow.
And then on this Hearth Money Rolls, which is 1662 or something, there was a Conor O'Brollohan lived on the same piece of land.
Wow. So your family connection goes back
a long time. Yeah, a long time. So,
and
you can get a good part of it with the name, you know. But
so for people out there, spend no money on genealogy.
We have it
just go back. We have it sussed. Baron, have you any kind of flick names like that there? No?
Not really. I suppose I was Glass originally from Brack O'Reilly, and then there was very little. There wasn't that Glass was like a. There wasn't that many. I suppose like the Bradleys, it was because there's that many.
Some
that's where
people
the
say the
name
Glass
true, yeah.
goes back to McCluskey. Have you ever heard that? Glasgow, Glasgow. Fella said to me it was connected to like McCluskey or some kind, but I don't know if that's
Right,
true.
okay,
Or else it was just an Irish speaker taking the piss out of me, Bernie, and I hadn't a clue, you know.
Yeah.
But I think it's how it's pronounced, Glasgow. So we could be.
We could, yeah. We
I
could
could be the Bernie
definitely
Pat, and you could be Pat Bernie,
Yeah,
and
we
go back an hour, a couple of, you know, go back an hour, a couple of your Uncle Joseph Bernie Pat, Joseph Pat, you know, and we could go back to 1600. And you are on the side of a great classic story of Irish mythological. You're living there now, you know.
Exactly.
So the lyrics then on the wall is Shepherd's Rest. So what makes someone sit down? Had he written a pile of songs, that gentleman?
Jared will always struck me as a man who was very close to he was a shepherd, like, and he worked up in Darwin. He was very close to the Sperrins and nature, and just loved it was part of him, like, it was
in his DNA.
It was in his DNA. Jared was just, you know, he was a native of the area in every sense of the word, you know. And I suppose that the love of that and the consciousness of it was ingrained in him very deeply. It got him, sent him to, you know, allowed him to write a song like that, you know. And it affects everybody else because we feel the same thing. Yeah. And Jared just expresses it, you know. And that's what I suppose a local bard or a poet does, you know. That's what makes them special, you know.
Yeah, and it stood the test of time, and it's been covered so many times in so many ways, and
he had that poetic streak in him as well. You know, had the talent. You know.
There you are. And had he other stuff written?
I'm not sure. No,
he didn't need anything. He got one off big classic hit.
Right,
he got the hit straight away. Hey, I'll just retire now. Did he retire in Barbados or Ballymena or
he retired in the mountains of the Sperrins,
where he was,
the place he wanted to be.
Probably wouldn't want to be
amazing.
He wanted to wander for the rest of his.
It's
for all eternity or whatever.
And so another one on this here is the salt. Bernie, you can speak about it. Remember, you spoke a wee story about that. And so Morris here, the Chieftains do that. The Chieftains done a cover,
one night,
of this song. So there you have one of the biggest sort of, you know, I suppose bands of their time. But you told a wee story about this, didn't you? The salt, did you?
Well, John used to sing it back in the sessions as well. But it was the story of a young boy being hired at the hiring fair, and of course then it was he was a bachelor, so it was him and the old woman, and who obviously was the man who hired him, his mother, and then the dog. So first of all, the dog died. So he was sent to fetch the salt, you see. So the salt was the preservative. Like, that's how everything, I suppose, like, you know, back in the days, you would have had the pig. Everybody would have had the pig, and you would have killed the pig, and then you would have put it into the tea chest and put the salt on it. So the dog died anyway, and the dog was salted, and obviously they ate the dog. And so the next thing then, the old woman, she just sat at the fire, and she died then. This was at the end of the song, and of course then as he was getting up, the son said, "You run and get me the salt." So of course they were going to salt the mother as well, and eat her as well. So needless to say, he took off like the hammers of hell away down the fields and away, and that was it. And it sort of ends, and that was the first and last time that he was ever at a highland fair. So
And Ballinascreen.
and Ballinascreen, exactly.
There we go. So we don't condone eating people in this parish. No, I know we had some weird canals, but and the 6-sound Highland song.
Aye. As we tune, my father used to play it, the melodeon and that, and Art used to play it as well.
There we go.
And unusual kind of wee tune. I don't know where they would have got that. You know, it could have been off a gramophone record, or maybe not just here, but kind of unusual. Tune, right? It wasn't really Highlands, more a barn dance, because of course they did dance Highlands around here, and that's a whole other thing. You know, the dances they did in the house dances.
Yeah.
The Highlands and the mazurkas and the Lancers.
Yeah. And sleeve galleon brace. We know a man that does that a lot.
Yeah.
And who is that man?
Paddy Gray.
Mr. Paddy Gray.
Paddy Gray, yeah.
And Paddy was in here in the podcast with me.
He was indeed.
He was an early pioneer that took the dive.
That's
come into me.
right.
And it was a very interesting conversation. I suppose if people want to maybe know about, like you spoke here about Mr. Tommy there, about the love of the mountain, the love of the land, and all that there.
Yeah.
And then it's a really good podcast for people that a life living up at the top of a mountain, and had a big family too.
That's
and,
right.
You married one John yourself.
That's right.
Verdon Braes of Screen, another one that's quite well known throughout.
I mean, I suppose I'm familiar with it just because Uilleann in the primary school, and would have the children would have learnt it. Like that would have been one of the very first tunes that they would have learned.
And these songs are all got beautiful airs, and
definitely,
and melody and all. And the Bonnie Cuckoo, I don't know what that or where we're at there with that.
Uilleann. The Bunting collected that.
Right, there you go.
And so, who did you say there, Mars? Sorry about that.
It was one of the tunes that Bunting collected when he came back.
Edward Bunting.
There we go. Yeah. And there he is there, Mr. Bunting. And where did he live?
He was a young church organist from Armagh originally, and the time they had the Harp Festival in Belfast, they got him to go around and notate down the tunes from the harpers. But after that, he came out and visited areas where the harpers lived and continued to take music down from them. And then he published it. It was the Ancient Music of Ireland or something. There was a famous collection that he put out at the end of it all, you know. And that there was 4 tunes from this area on it. There was the Bonnie Cuckoo, Uilleann, and Aliog, the Little Swallow, and then a tune called Slave Gallen, which was just it's what do you call it, instrumental piece,
like
really,
an air.
There you go. So the parish done well out of it.
And thanks to Bunting that it was all recorded. Otherwise, it would have been all lost. Like.
So I suppose he was a pioneer for heritage and history, and collecting all the them words and songs, and I suppose like you chatted, Maurice, about it, that there's obviously houses with loads of written music. You know, Bernie, maybe that hasn't even been seen yet. You know, they could be sitting in attics from ancestral people and thinking, you know, like I suppose that's how things are passed down, isn't it? Orally with the airs and different things. No, well that's I don't know if we're taking John on now. Is that right? So we have a song. We have a songbird We have a songbird, and Bernie, it's your husband, John.
Yeah.
Gentleman he is. So John's going to come in and do a wee tune called...
It's called The Rush Wars. You'll have to help me, John. What's... John McGuigan. So Lorraine McGuigan would have went to school along with John. So it would have been her granda that actually wrote the song.
Brilliant.
But it's about the rushes, and I suppose the demand for rushes was high in Dramard, and so we live in Dramard as well. And then it goes through all the different Maurice was talking about all the local names and all the nicknames and things like that. So,
And we're safe, aren't we, Bernie?
yeah,
we're all safe.
We're
Just to
safe.
let you know, we're safe here.
We're safe, yeah.
We have
yeah.
a lawyer sitting out there over in the back door there, James Joseph of the law firm. So it's a nice wee thing to do, and I tell you what it does too, I suppose, just like we were speaking about there about orally and traditional things being handed down.
Yeah.
And I suppose to capture us now is a moment that it might,
That's
give it that
right.
opportunity.
Yeah.
Right? So
Yeah.
I'm going to leave the building here. I don't know if John wants to keep the headphones on and he can, he'll go solo, they say. So John, I'll get up with the chair of dreams and let you get in here. So and I'll set you up. Go you on a wee seat there, John.
So now John, the other half, is going to sing the song by John McGuigan, and it's called The Rush War.
Oh, rushes and sprit now, you would say they're a curse. But there's a thing they call bedding 1,000 times worse. Just say what you like, boys, but I'll not be damned. When rushes is mentioned, all Braca goes mad. One day in November, now take it from me, when the fodder was scarce and grass hard to see, to provide for their horses, cattle and pigs, they commandeered for the season Peter Damlick's rush rings. Now the day that they started, it would have made you afraid. You'd have thought it was the Fenians going out on parade. Their scythes they were shining and a stone in their hand. Frankie John was the leader, says Cutie our grand. They tackled their harvest like brave Irishmen, and wit do I tell you what happened to men. Paddy Donnelly the villain, through envy and spite, gave some backhand talk and created a fight. Then down come young Peter, his right to proclaim. He freely and wildly did cuss and blaspheme. He took off his coat and he rolled up his sleeves, and he haunted them all and he called them all thieves. Then up steps the buffer, says, I'll cap your blow. Sure from your light punches I never will go. Young Peter drew out and he hit him a whack, and he landed the old buffer flat on his back. So they picked up their scythes and they took to their heels, and they crossed over the mountain down through Mackay's fields. Every step he took was more than a yard, and the next place they landed was Paul's and Dramard. Wait a minute, says Paddy, sure we'll all get enough. We'll not be humbugged by this kind of stuff. I'll pay for my bedding with good ready cash, but if I get dishonoured, I'll eat my moustache. Mixed friggin' and sugary John Charles and all, they will get a cribful from young Paddy Paul. McKeever and McBride had reason to smile. Johnny Mick will get plenty from Brawley and Lyle. Q McBride is a witness to all I have said. Now the rush war is over and Q's mighty glad. He was held up 3 times on the way drawn stone, and the last time he thought he would never see home. So come all you bold Fenians, take a warning from me. With young Peter Damlick, don't ever make free. And if you mow rushes, don't mow them too hard, for there's mighty fine rushes that grow under mud.
Peter Damlick.
Peter Damlick. There you go.
That's a good little song.
Very
Like.
good.
Isn't it?
John,
Loads.
you want to finish off and ask you about
Very good, Paddy. Thank you.
Yeah, very
Great.
good.
Paddy.
Congratulations, John.
All Ireland champion, Paddy.
You've won.
We're not worried about the rules, really. It's the real thing. Congratulations, John.
What one is
That's why
that?
you don't know what the trophy's about, because no one's pretending it's John. Do you know that?
The Samuel Stevenson Memorial Cup.
Do you, if you don't know anything
I
about
think
it,
I know.
sure.
I think it's. Oh, it's the Fleadh Cup. It's the fiddle. So it's the County Derry fiddle
Brilliant.
cup. That's what it is.
So proud of myself and I haven't said the word violin once.
How do you say it, Paddy?
I haven't said the Antichrist word once, the violin. But no, that was really good by John, and thank you, John, for coming in and being part of it. Maurice, I'm going to come to yourself from some of the chats what you were talking about, like you would have went to a lot of Giltuck and Donegal.
Yeah.
Do you want to tell a wee bit about that and inspirations, and what age were you then, and who was your inspirations?
I talked about learning the pipes and all that, and in my later teens, one of the big events was going to this Willie Clancy Summer School in 1981, County Clare.
How do people get on that? Are you picked? Are you what?
No. You heard about it just, and that'd be a good thing to go to.
Brilliant.
And
So it's just, I suppose it's well known probably throughout the world.
it is, yeah.
And then the tutors are top class. So if you want to go, like anybody can go. And
That's brilliant.
Yeah.
That's brilliant.
So, I was still learning the pipes and that, so obviously piping. It was Willie Clancy was a piper, and all the emphasis was on the pipes. So I went to a piping class with a fellow like Jimmy O'Brien Moran from Waterford, great player. But at that stage, I was kind of meddling about with the fiddle, and kind of the pipes were I was had enough really, but I did go back to them. But then I went to the University of Ulster in Coleraine and did the Irish degree, and the Irish department was full of musicians, traditional musicians from all over, like Fermanagh, Belfast, Derry, everywhere, and there was the professor threatened to make a bonfire of the instruments at one stage if people weren't turning up for lectures, but you met a lot of influences there as well, but around the same time then I was getting a bit of on at the fiddle a bit, and in Donegal there was a kind of a revival going on of Donegal fiddle music, and the situation was, you see, that Donegal fiddle playing had been kind of marginalised from the powers that be in Dublin. You see, it was it was described as Scottish music, and worse again, it was bad Scottish music.
No way.
So
Is that all them proper English speakers from Dublin,
this bias has always existed there, as far as the language and everything is concerned.
Yeah.
And as far as it was Sligo, Kerry, Clare, or nothing. The North and Donegal didn't
feature.
rate at all.
Is that still the case, right?
They can't get off of it. I think this organisation kind of nailed it, but there was it's there, but so there was still a number of good traditional fiddle players in Donegal, really good ones, but they never come out to play. They had given up, said that this is gone, So there's a fella, Keevy McKee and Rob Cherry from Belfast, and Dermot McLaughlin and Mairead Newinny formed an organisation called Carges na Fiddlery, the Friends of Fiddlers, so they set up a summer school in Glencullenkill every year with classes for the young local ones and for anybody else. And they got the good local players in to teach the style, and teach the repertoire of the area.
The old style, yeah.
The Donegal repertoire, strictly. And then they had the weekend in Glenties every October. That was a great success. And they would sometimes get musicians over, fiddlers from Shetland and Scotland and that as well, and other parts of the country. And it really started going well, and they got a lot of the young people back playing Donegal music, and then they reissued archive material and all that. So that was all going on in the early 80s. I was actually at the first meeting of it in the Highlands Hotel. There's only about 20 people at it, but the photograph's still there. But
Brilliant.
So parallel to that, then I would have been down teaching in the Irish College in Uilleann at that time. I always never lost my association with Uilleann, and
because you're a fluent Irish language.
I did the degree in Korean and all the rest, and I went to Uilleann Irish College when I was a child as well, and I knew the area, knew a lot of the people, but there was no music to be heard then. I wouldn't have. There was only one thing happened, that the first year I was there, I was staying in this house up near Carrick, and there was one day this old man come in, fiddle under his arm, hobnail boots, cap on him. It was the famous fiddle player John Doherty, who was a travelling fiddle player. He was the daddy of them all in Donegal, and I didn't know who he was at all. I was only about 14 at the time, and I couldn't get over the fuss that was made of this man. It was like hope and rave now as the word, get him a chair. John Doherty, he had a fiddle with
smoke
him.
coming onto the door now. We have
I'd never
picked
forget
John
it,
Doherty as the man.
I can see it as I sit here now, every minute of it.
Brilliant.
And he had a great presence, and he had a fiddle under his arm for a young boy in the house who was supposed to be learning, and it never happened. But they still have the fiddle in that house, and he told stories. They would tell stories as well.
He was like a bard as well.
He was, and he played all the favourites for the Mason's apron and the four-poster bed, and play this John, play that John. And I remember there was Oliver Kidd from Desert Martin played a Roddy accordion, the whistle or something for him. And they got him to play. I'll play a tune for John, And John said, Oliver's a great player, And, he was such a gentle natured, noble kind of man, And then somebody asked him, said, John, were you ever in America? Well, indeed, I was in America for one day.
He didn't like it,
but I'll never forget meeting him. I didn't realise who he was. I know now who he was.
Yeah. Did you keep that friendship?
Well, he used to travel around a lot with his family. There were tinsmiths and all that.
Yeah.
But when he got old, he stayed in a place in Carrick. It was kind of a guest house or whatever, and he would play for the American tourists in the summertime. Wow. And he kind of just dandered out one day over to his house to see these people, But that was the only occasion I ever met him now. But I've listened to his music since, I can tell you. There you go. But, and then, anyway, when I was teaching the Irish College, I used to go out every evening and play with James Byrne and Con Cassidy and the local players. And, the best, I think you can't really learn music off recordings as much. You have to sit down and play with people. Yeah. And you spend years, I spent years playing with them after that, and playing the Highland, the way they play the Highland, there's a swing to it. Yeah. You'll never get it unless you sit down and play along with them, Yeah. And it was just such a huge privilege and experience to meet them and play with them. James had a fantastic repertoire. He was a fantastic player. And then Con Cassidy, he was another character.
And there's an old picture there.
Yeah, Con was an older man now. And he had a very old repertoire of music that none of the rest of them had, which going way back till the early decades of the century,
Yeah.
And
I suppose that shows that you were talking about earlier on, both of you, about them old songs and being, passed on, and I'm sure it was different for you being in a room where you're thinking, I'm going to hear such a song, and all of a sudden you were hearing songs that.
It was bottomless. The repertoire, they never got to the bottom of Con's repertoire, and Alton and people like that all play tunes now, all over the world.
There you go.
And but he was a very sophisticated player. He never played out. You wouldn't have known he was there all during the 70s and before it, except maybe local people. But and he was a character as well. He was a very funny man. He didn't take himself serious at all. He was a real rascal, and they did a CD of his music, the Cardis eventually, and Robbie Hannon was interviewing him, and he says, now Con, what was the music like in Uilleann when you were growing up? Saying with the many fiddle players, and he says he named all the fiddle players. You see, there was Frank Cassidy, and there was Mick McShane, and there was Connie Haughey, Jimmy Lyons, and he listed the big long name. And then it says, and then there was me, and I was the worst of them all. So, but the older generation, they had a great sense of fun. They didn't take it serious, but they're very rich music tradition, and still had a big impact on me, and still does,
And that there sort of, I suppose, goes back to them early days of, like you were saying, he was like a travelling musician because of his job, but you spoke about in the early days of, the music in your house and the houses in 6 towns. You want to let people into a wee bit of that?
Well, I suppose, my father played the melodeon a bit.
Yeah.
And I think the story behind that was he got a 10-keyed melodeon, the wee old-fashioned single-road melodeons. They were their age way back. They were cheap, and, everybody house had one. And apparently his sister had won one in a raffle. For the 6 towns school, they were raising money for a load of turf for the fuel, and he got this 10-keyed melodeon. So I suppose then he would have played maybe for the house dances and that, which were all their age at the time in the 40s and that, because I think I got the impression that because of the war, maybe, and that a lot of young people didn't get immigrating, and there was a lot of young people around, and this was the entertainment they devised for themselves, just dances in the houses, and,
within an area, just
in an area, and they would just appoint some house and people gathered. Very relaxed kind of thing. But so the type of dances, I was asking him about, what type of dances they did all, and he said the Highland, which you get in Donegal as well. I mean, I have these Dublin people telling me, "Oh, you're up in Donegal, they're in Highland." Dance them around our part of the world too, and the mazurkas and the lancers and the quadrilles, and I mean he was able to describe them all, and there were a lot of them were 2-hand dances which suited the small kitchens,
All right,
and the stack of barley and things like that, corn rigs, and so that was a different type of music altogether, really, and so then he had a céilí band, I think, there was a wee céilí band in the 40s, maybe they used to play up in Falla Hall up near Gorton. That was a big night spot at one time, I think.
that was a nightclub then. That's where all they met the future man and wife and all that there,
I
Bernie.
wouldn't be here today if it wasn't that. I think he met my mother there, I think.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
So, and then, of course, after he played with the 6 towns accordion band or marching band or whatever. So there was music in the house. My mother played the fiddle a wee bit too. She was a good singer. And there was just, they liked music, they didn't, they were farming and all the rest, they didn't have much time to do it and all the rest, but, and then...
But out of that sort of hard life in them times, like you said, Bernie, there was, imagine friendships made between neighbours, and did there been a lot of,
Oh, yeah.
And did it go to different houses and all?
Well, they would have, sure, they would have, maybe, I don't know, people going to America and thinking of convoys and things like that, as well, they would have had,
like immigration parties and such. And then I should say then, I'm not saying that the priests ambushed it because they realised there was a lot of people gathering in houses, and this would be a good way of gathering people together as a fundraiser, not for the wee melodeon, not for turf here.
No.
Is that, could you just let people know how that died away, I think?
Well, I think the halls come in after that.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Moved into the halls.
Yeah.
And then it became a different type of dancing. It was the céilí dancing then, wasn't it?
Because I suppose there's more room.
Yeah.
So you could do your 8-hand dances.
I mean, my father never, that old stuff, he said that he had no interest in the
céilí dancing.
that old modern stuff. It's kind of,
well,
where did he get that?
Not all modern stuff, so a man came in the 40s and it's 1955. So yesterday, blame the one before.
That's it.
So no, it's real interesting that there, because I suppose for people to know, that's a timeline from, I suppose, come back to John earlier on, that song, it was a parish song. Up in the area of Dromard, and so then you've got 6 towns that I suppose, and I'm sure other areas would have their own, Mullineen might have their own style of players and all. Just so out there that we haven't got any stories in Mullineen or Trad, have we? Or have we, Maurice?
I don't know. No.
We don't know anything about.
Anything about them out there in them parts now.
You're not from round these parts, Paddy, so don't speak on behalf of us. But look, no, it's real interesting that there, and I suppose it takes us from the house to the hall to where you are now, Bernie. I suppose, and being head of what I suppose people should know too about running a group now. It's not like years ago. There's so many policies and all that, isn't there?
Like one of them springs to mind is the child protection policy.
Massive.
And health and safety and all those, and you need insurance as well. So that if anything did happen, then at least you know,
it's not like rocking up years ago and 40s Morris and a house, like a potching, and away you go and spinning around. I couldn't imagine anybody. I couldn't imagine anybody up in Calvin Ray or Tully Breck or Owen Ray saying, "I think I'll make a claim now, lad. You have a 10 bow of potching in you. Are you real, Paddy? Are you actually going to claim against me here? You know, you were dancing away there to the old corn song there, and you were loving
doing
life.
the brush dance there, and you tripped over the brush."
You put your foot in that guitar and we're walking around the kitchen.
That was the cow. That was the cow.
I know potching you could turn into an old cow very handy. But God knows what you'd see. But Bernie, I suppose for people out there, there's a lot of rules, as you say, regulations away from Morris Day. Like, I mean, Faces, old playground years ago. Some would say it's health and safety gone mad.
Yep, that is true.
Okay,
but
we will just go with the one that whatever you need to do, you have to do to get people together now. And all groups do it, sporting groups,
that's
arts groups.
Exactly it.
So so at the minute, where do you feel you're all at, and what's it like? Do you want to tell people about when your rehearsals are on, how you get involved? And,
so we have, so we're having a break. Well, some of the beginner musicians are having a break now, like as I said about the Grippy Coal. So the Ulster Fleadhs is on next week. So that group, so there's 20 musicians involved. And that's
where's the Ulster Fleadhs?
So the Ulster Fleadhs is in Dromore this year.
Dromore, that's Tyrone, is it?
And that's in Tyrone, so there's 20 musicians, all from Ballinascreen. No, sorry, not all from Ballinascreen, but 95% from Ballinascreen. There's a couple from Swatra, and we have a couple from down Mahara as well.
Brilliant. But that just shows you that, for people down there, that you can join your group.
Exactly. That's it. I mean, I suppose the idea is we're just not all inclusive, largely Ballinascreen, but, like in Swatra and down in Mahara, Kilty, they are not running a group. So we just said, reached out to them and said, listen, if any of your musicians want to get involved, same in Des Martin as well. So we're sort of, trying to include anybody who's got an interest or who wants to get involved, making sure that...
And it's not stopping you being from our parish, you're saying?
Definitely not. No, definitely not. No,
because I'm sure, like, where you mentioned there, Mahara and it's like anything in life, there would have been maybe organisations there one time, but
that's right.
Ballinascreen have been lucky for people like yourselves and Morris to keep things going. Do you know what I mean? It's not the way it is.
Exactly, yeah. It swings and roundabouts at the end of the day.
Because I know that Colm and Seamus talked about that, about all the groups in the dance one that were there one time. It was amazing the amount of groups, not now. And
because I suppose that, like, the trad musicians are a relatively small group, even in South Derry. So it's very important that that you do support each other, and that if there are musicians, like 10 mile down the road, like they're given the same opportunity, because otherwise it's not. I suppose it's not fair. In the same way, if we were sitting here and they had a grip, they would also reach out up to.
So you're basically saying to people out there that from the surrounding areas of South Derry, if you want to, if you've got a young kid, wants to get involved. And so where do you?
So we run our classes. The classes will start up again in September, probably end of September. We'll do registration mid-September, and we run sort of beginner and I suppose intermediate level for quite a number of instruments. With the tin whistle, the banjo, the boron. With an adult boron class. We've got
does Gino
Lapari's
Gino Lapari, legend. He was in with me too.
Yeah. So
I'm a true trad lover, Morris. You got it. Like, I'm not just no rocker,
Yeah, that's
I do like rock and roll, but there you are. Gino is an absolute gentleman.
Yeah, absolutely. And so it's been a great success. And obviously brought in the more adults. But having said that, people have this notion that the music is just for
Young people.
for the young ones.
Yeah.
It's not. Anybody is. They're more than welcome to come and
Morris
join.
is proof of that in all the sessions he's been in over the years and all the different people.
Yes,
Yeah.
and you're never too old to learn at the end of the day.
Never too
So
late
we
to pick
also-
up the Uilleann pipes there, Morris. I'm never too late.
Exactly. Yeah.
Did you say no there to me? Did you say no?
Warning, maybe that.
Yeah.
Antibiotics first and then Uilleann pipes.
And we just started a concertina class now since Christmas there. So I think we've maybe 4 or 5 complete beginners at that class. So obviously we want to try and develop and expand.
Well, I
that.
suppose this year maybe people listening they'll be able to
of
get
course,
in touch.
yeah.
And how would people get in touch with your group?
Well, we have our Facebook page, Ballinascreen Traditional Music Facebook page. So that's probably the best way to get in contact, is either to send a wee message. It's where whenever the registration classes start, we'll send out just a message to say the time and the date and the details and the list of sort of instruments that we're offering.
That's
we
really
also
good.
do the harp, and we're thinking maybe of the flute or the accordion maybe this year as well. So
we could have a Killy band again, Morris.
we could. That's the idea.
Is it
That's
right?
the idea.
There you
That
go.
is the idea.
That's
Yeah,
really good.
that's it.
And,
Try and expand. As well as that, the other sort of new initiative that we've started is because we got funding through the Braca Wind Farm, and that was down through Workspace. So thanks to them for their funding. But we have now been able to build up a bank of traditional music instruments.
Brilliant.
So like, for example, the concertina or an accordion. I'm not sure about the accordion, but the concertina is a beginner one. So that's not the very basic one is like over £400.
Yeah.
So it's a lot of money for parents to sort of maybe sort of spend.
So it's a sort of a share. You share the instrument till you learn it, and then maybe if you want to expand and
then
invest.
you can. So
it's a
what
really
we
good
do
way.
is it's a rental scheme. So you say somebody wants to come and they want to start the concertina, for example, then we give you the concertina, and then you for like a fixed rate, so much per month then. But the thing about it is then once you say at Christmas time you decide, or maybe at in May time when the year's over, they can decide, right, I'm going to stick with this, so it can continue to rent, or we can actually we'll buy the concertina, but the money that they have paid in the rental will be taken off the final balance.
That's really
good. So it means then that I suppose the idea is
you're nearly saving for it as you go along.
That's exactly it. But you get the instrument up front.
Brilliant.
So it's not as if to say, right, I have to wait until I've got the money before I can join this class. And as well as that, then it lets the children try, or the adults try an instrument, see if they like it.
Brilliant.
Because they might not. Maybe they think, the fiddle's not for me, or I'll try something else instead.
And the instruments are there to try.
And the instruments are there
And
to
would you
try.
say that the Braca One Farm need to
Braca
go
One Farm.
again for you to get more instruments?
Exactly. And
look into that camera there and ask the Braca One Farm. Go on, say it there. Say thank you for your investment.
Thank you to the Braca One Farm for the funding that we have received, and to Mid Ulster District Council. We've also got money from them as well.
So we're going for the double then.
So I suppose if you get a steady sort of funding from a reliable source, then you can obviously keep that going.
Well, that's really good, and it's good that grants are there for you to apply to.
And I mean, it means then that parents then don't have the I suppose the extra that financial difficulty. They can.
So basically, it's not and that's really good, because music should be accessible for everyone.
Absolutely, that is very important.
And just when you're on that there, listening to about getting the Killy bands and the different things together, the players. Maurice, I wanted to bring up just that now you don't have a live musician playing at a lot of these places. It's like tape recorder and Why did that stop? Or
Where
do you know what the fascists and things? You know where you'd have played years ago.
Synthesizers.
Yeah, well, I wouldn't have much experience of that there. I don't.
But is there music played now, Bernie, or is it just through like a tip when it comes to Irish dancing?
Some of the fascists now, I definitely know at the, like say the Ulsters, like the more
prestige ones.
They are. They're live musicians there.
That's good.
And for the worlds and that.
There you are, Maurice. It's still alive.
Yeah,
It's very mechanical. You see, the number of beats and all that. They're so.
Yes, that's
they're so exact about it that it's very hard to play live music. I would say for that.
Keep it exact, to what they're used to. To dancing to,
so that's almost mechanical,
Well, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Well, is there any wee stories or wee nuggets that any of us want to tell the world before we finish off? I should say thanks very much for the both of you coming in. It was great, and thanks to John for coming in and singing up there.
Yeah.
He was practicing up and down the lift there, and we were going down earlier on, and it was fine tune he was in. So is there any wee bits or wee call outs you'd want to do for anybody or anybody you think we forgot about?
I just want to mention the
cup. Bernie, sure, look, Bernie, look at that there. I went away on ahead of himself. I've got more. No, I presented that trophy on the left. It was called the solo singing one to John.
That was so that was the solo singing,
That's
but
John,
it's actually and what was the name that was on it? I read it out there. The Samuel Stevenson Memorial Cup.
Yes.
So Aidan O'Hagan's name, I see, is on it for the last two, and then Kadeen Devlin is. So they're both Ballinascreen.
There you go.
And their names. So I'm assuming that's for a fiddle competition.
There we go.
Because they're both fiddlers. This one here.
We chatted a lot about fiddlers tonight, so we did.
We definitely did. This one is our new.
That looks like a fine bit of kit there.
Yeah. So this is our new Cormac O'Kelly. So last year, the group or Grippy Cool that I was talking about, they took part in the Derry Fleadhs, and they were Derry champions last year, but there was no cup. And then they were taking part in the same competition this year. So we sort of, with the new committee, we decided that we would donate a cup on behalf of the Ballinascreen Traditional Music Group. Good. And then we were sort of thinking, well, what will we call it? So I suppose with Uilleann and the link with Cormac O'Kelly and the harp, we decided on Cormac O'Kelly. So that's all engraved on
that's
it there.
Brilliant.
And by good luck then, we
Guinness sponsored it. Is that by good luck, no?
No.
Oh, sorry. I can't see how far over.
So our Ballinascreen, Ballinascreen presented it, Uilleann presented it at the Derry Fleadhs, and Ballinascreen won it back. So
brilliant.
That was good as well.
That wasn't fixed or anything.
No, definitely not.
There was no rigging going on there, Maurice.
No, definitely not.
And that's a cup there will be year after year.
So that will be handed back next year.
And even you mentioned earlier on, Cormac O'Kelly and all. Anne McAllister would be another harp player connected to
that's right.
her family connected to that there as well.
Yeah.
So I'm moving my mic around here like I don't know why I'm doing it. I'm looking over at the cups there, and I was waiting for the medals and what were they?
I'm not 100% sure.
Was that second place? I sung before John.
Yeah, that's probably what it is. Yeah, so that definitely is an older one now. I know I was talking to like Paula O'Hagan, Kieran's Paula. So she came second in the All Ireland in the fiddle competition.
Wow.
So I'm not sure whether that is related to that. There's nothing actually written on it. But I just know
Paula
from the
must be a
style
silent ninja then getting to...
Absolutely, and would very much very humble, but an accomplished musician in her own right. I'm just looking at these because I haven't actually. And there's a so that's Fesh Column Kill. So that would be like the Derry City Fesh. So it's been running. Was that 100 years?
I think
100 years there.
That's recently. In the Guildhall.
That be in the Guildhall. Yeah. And then that would be your traditional just fleadh. So that's if you get first, so they're all basically the same. First is gold and second is silver and bronze is third. And then these ones here are in the past we have ran the Ballinascreen Traditional Music Group ran their own Fleadhs, just to sort of encourage, because the beginner musicians, I suppose, maybe weren't of a standard to take part in the Fleadh, and we sort of wanted to give everybody an opportunity to.
That's a good way to get used to performing.
Exactly, and a wee bit of experience and to build up confidence, and to allow parents to come in, a bit like what we did up in the club that
showcase to all the parents.
To showcase to parents, to show, the progress that has been made, during the year or whatever.
And at that particular concert or gig, whatever, you had young people in the next level.
That's right.
Next level.
You had the different levels.
It's important that people know that. Too,
And then obviously the parents were there, just to sort of to show and to give them an indication of,
or the kids to
level.
go, hello, mommy.
That's exactly it.
Moment,
because for a lot of those children, that was the first time to actually be up on a stage as well.
Wow.
And that in itself takes a lot of courage
and organising and commitment from all the tutors,
and practicing as well. So there's a lot of work. A lot of work goes in from the tutors and obviously the musicians themselves, and
brilliant.
Just keeping everything going and keeping it all ticking over.
So and just on behalf of other musicians maybe out there in the area, that you're always open for tutors. Is that right?
Yeah, definitely. Now the way that we're working at the minute, I mean, we're very lucky, and we try, and I suppose the difficulty down through the years, even from our own two boys who are now 29 and 30, was once they get to 15 or 16, there's too many things. Sports been pulling them in one direction. There's lots of distractions, and I suppose if you get them over that hump, then you've got them for life. A bit like Maurice here, but a lot
get them by that rock and roll stage.
Yeah, that's it. And I mean, that isn't to say that you can't have other interests. Of course you can. Yeah. But I suppose it's keeping them ticking over and keeping the interest there, and showing them the reason why it's important to sort of to keep it going. And one of the things that we do is, like, our older musicians, like say that are maybe in 4th year or 5th year, we then get them to come back in as the beginner tutors. And they're passing on their knowledge and their expertise then to the wee beginners.
That's good. That's really
and
good.
Trying and keep everything ticking over.
I suppose, and too, I wouldn't go on here without mentioning the McKee family.
Yeah, absolutely.
And the Crowley, Mara,
and the
Crowley.
Crowleys. That's right.
All involved. And traditional family as well. From up Dramard, Fred,
so Lisa would be the same age as our Padraig, so down through the years she would have been one of the main fiddle tutor in the Ballinascreen Music Group. Stephen, as he's still our banjo tutor, and
Banjo Steve, and that isn't he?
Banjo Steve, and
you can't play a banjo without putting a wee name on there.
That's it, exactly. And then Owen is also our bodhrán tutor as well.
Played in the Small But Massive Samba Band for a while.
That's
Him
right.
and Erin, his sister.
Yeah. And funny, Erin never really. She never took up the way that the other ones.
She took up the Brazilian beats in the year behind that wall.
That's right.
Yeah, she did, and was very good at it.
And then Mark, obviously, he played the tin whistle and the Uilleann pipes as well. So very, very musical, very talented, and great supporters of.
And they would have been doing, like Maurice many years ago in Reagan's wee sessions. They do regular
like
sessions
that as well. Yeah, and
Easter, Christmas, whatever it is.
I suppose what they did, and what we didn't, what our boys didn't do, was they would have went to the Armagh Pipers, and Maurice, you would have been familiar with that. So that would have been sort of, I suppose they would.
Taught the Piper boys.
Did you teach in the Pipers?
Yeah.
I taught what do you call the fella? McKee plays the pipes, young fella.
Oh, very.
There you go, Maurice. There you are. You kept that quiet. You kept that very quiet there.
You see.
Just whoop one in from under the carpet there.
That's it. Very good.
Slapped in legs.
Oh, he used to come up to me.
Like a marble superhero.
Very good.
That's very good, Maurice. Maurice probably has loads of people he's taught all over Ireland.
Of course, that's it.
You'll find out, they're in a massive traditional group
modest.
now. He's a very modest gentleman. Maurice, not only at the minute you're trying to archive some music yourself, you're in with Nathan recording. Do you want to mention about that there?
Long-suffering Nathan,
so what?
A man of great patience, I can tell you.
Well, I hope that you do a launch up here. It'd be great, wouldn't it? The man's recording. He's recording
that
some of
would
his
be
songs at the minute.
fantastic.
Bernie,
Yeah, are you going to launch your own album?
Well,
Brilliant.
we're working on something. I don't know what it'll.
Oh, that would be amazing.
When we put it all together, and see what comes
I
up.
think it'd be a special night, wouldn't it, Bernie?
That would be absolutely
and,
fantastic.
I think it would pack out
that
very
would be
quick.
icing on the cake.
Yeah.
Kiffling about that for the past year or year and a half, you know,
Very
and
good, Maurice.
just kind of pipes and fiddle double tracking, and you know,
Brilliant.
Kieran Kelly's doing a bit on the bouzouki along with her as well, and
Brilliant.
a little bit of piano the other night from a woman from she lives in Cape Breton. She came in and did it. So we're just at stage trying to get enough tracks and maybe tidy up stuff, and you know,
pull it all
see what
There's
transpires.
your friend there, Kieran.
Yeah, Kieran Kelly. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's our old house. There.
Oh, the barn laugh.
Yeah.
That's glad. But you were saying that house is the same.
Well, it
Your
was built
brother?
in 1830,
Aye.
yeah, but my sister kind of, we lived there till 1979 actually, and then we built a new house on the other side of the road. But my sister did it up again, you know, in the old style.
Brilliant.
So she uses now as a kind of holiday home and that. So
Lovely.
There you go. I know now where to go to if I want a wee chilled out weekend break,
Yeah.
Bernie, eh?
so,
Uh-huh.
I'm heading back up now to get me dinner. So
Well, you know what? I'm quite hungry too, you know. Like, these people, of course, they're not let me to eat, you know. I guess my guts rumble enough.
So this is Melissa Emmons, who was
Oh, there you go,
doing
Nathan.
piano for us the other night. And
Oh, brilliant.
she's over. She comes to Ireland every year and does all the festivals and plays fiddle and piano. And
Lovely.
That's amazing.
there's a lot of fiddle music over in Cape Breton. You see, kind of Scottish fiddle. And she lives there, and great style of piano playing and all that as well. So she helped us out with a couple of.
There'll be a few
tracks in
ones
it.
flying in then, Bernie.
Yeah.
I'll
And
have to
would
get-
you have been over?
I've never made it. I've been
have you not,
to. I've been
Maurice?
to Uist in Scotland now, which is the same.
Same sort of
The Cape
style.
Bretoners come over to Uist, and the Uist ones go to Cape Breton, and it's the same style of music. And I'd be interested in the Gaelic and all that as well, you know,
Yes, of course,
down
there's
through the
that.
years. But I mean, I listen to a lot of Scottish music as well, you know. And I've a set of border pipes, which I never really get onto them, you know. But it's a different animal, you know. But Donegal music and Scottish music, where do you draw the line? There's a lot of similarities and a lot of. You know, I think you need to know them all. You know, you need to
That's
appreciate them all. And
Well,
even-
there's, I suppose, no sense being aloof, is there, to the
it's
different
all the
styles?
same culture, you know.
Yeah.
That's
and,
right. And very similar.
I
ways.
mean, there are a lot of similarities between the kind of Irish that would have spoken around here and Scots Gaelic. Like there'd be a lot of words in that. You know, it's amazing. It's just a seamless thing. You know, really.
Yeah.
Like,
you know.
even though there's a sea between us.
Aye,
it's
there
very-
were big
lot of
connections. Yeah,
similarities,
you know, and like you appreciate the bigger picture if you look at it all. You know, but
Yeah, because people moved, no matter what way you say,
That's right,
they moved
aye,
either back
the
or forward. Isn't that right?
immigration, yeah, that's
And,
true,
So
yeah.
you're going to take them, the words, the music, the timings,
Yeah.
you know, and like,
Take
but
that all with you.
definitely. Well, we'll all be looking forward to the album coming out, won't we, Bernie?
Absolutely, that would be
And,
brilliant.
I can't say a
Don't be
date.
expecting too much now, but
I can't say a date yet, but there's a few record labels queuing up, you know.
There could be another one of these.
Aye,
Not one of them now.
You have to take it out in vinyl.
Aye, go on,
that,
Bernie,
you have
that'd be
to go
so cool,
vinyl.
Maurice.
That would be.
Mars, that would be deadly, wouldn't it?
Everybody's going back to the records now, Morris.
I think
so to
Mars
say,
could
and I
bring it
so
back
to
to
say.
the
Yeah.
record to be
Yeah.
so
But
looked
it's
at.
just a matter of getting something down, you know. Everybody's musical journey is unique to them,
Yeah,
and
that's right.
it's really only a reflection of the people you played with,
Aye.
and you know whatever you picked up with
Friends.
them, and you know.
But what it is, Mars, it's your journey, and you're trying to capture it now as I suppose memory ways and key ways and timing ways, and I think that'll be an extraordinary lesson. You know what I mean?
Absolutely,
And I think it's only right that you do leave that legacy because you played. He has played Bernie. I remember when I was up with that man playing, and he's unreal. And so I suppose to leave that, it could be the next. We'll have to get it pressed in records now, Bernie.
Definitely.
You're saying there.
Yeah.
Maybe
Even
if,
just
maybe
one record for me, Morris. I don't worry about
Very
it.
just a wild fussy. You just want this, you just want
Hey,
that.
you know, I don't know, but I don't know. My brain, all I can see is Braca One Farm sponsoring it. And
Oh,
Good
yeah.
works for us.
idea. Good idea.
If you can put a word in, if you can put a word in now, then-
Absolutely.
I'll look
That
into this
sounds
camera
good.
just on the end of this here. So, Braca One Farm for the heritage and the well-being of a history of a man and traditional Irish music, I think you should back it. And
Definitely.
so a workspace, you said?
And Mid-Ulster District Council. Well, workspace were tied in with Braca Wind Farm.
Yes, so it's workspace and Braca One Farm to bring out the new album.
Yeah,
Mars.
absolutely.
And
ideas here.
And I think it's going to be deadly.
Yeah, I think
we can't
that's
call
the
it
way to
deadly
go.
because it's not a good word. But
Yeah,
we're called the heritage of Morris and his music.
Absolutely.
I can see a wee radio show and all.
That sounds good.
Bernie, Morris, thank you very much, and thank John for coming on and doing. I hope it wasn't two sore onions.
No,
you're a
not at all.
brilliant guest,
Really good.
and I really enjoyed talking to you.
Thank you very much, Paddy.
if anything's left out, it'll be my fault. All right. And
hope we didn't put our foot in
no.
now.
And there's one other wee bit of archive footage that I'll mention just before we go. We'll get it up if Morris gets it to us. You interviewed your father.
Oh, yeah.
Do you want to mention that there? Maybe we'll get it some way up.
I way back about 2000. He was still sharp of himself, you know, and sharp to the. He was 92, like, but I mean, his lifetime, he's seen a huge change, you know. He was born in 1916, like the third of the century, you know, and the society around here, he had a very sharp memory. He knew everybody who was related to who lived where. And I went around the 6 towns with him and all the old houses and that, who lived there, who were they related to, where did they come out of. And he did it in detail for everyone. You know, it was incredible.
Brilliant.
So I recorded all that and then asked him about the house dances and that as well. And I mean, he was talking about his. He remember Irish was spoken in the house whenever he was a child. His granny was from Gold, she was Duffy, and she was a native Irish speaker. And his father, according to the census and all that, Irish and Irish. And he had loads of Irish words that I would be writing down all the time. Unusual ones, like, you know, that you'd only hear in the Gaeltacht. You know, he was talking about bog holes out in the mountain, you know, and he said, that's the mountain is covered in sumaras. And I'd only heard that word in Ranafast. It's like a bog, a pool, you know, with a carpet of bog on the top of it, you know, the way to go up and down. Simera. In the 6 towns, like, you know.
For people out there listening, that basically meant quicksand to
you don't want to go near it.
No.
So anybody out there,
them up around Bully there, and
I thought I would just let it know that people going, oh, what kind of place is this? Could you swim in it? No, Bernie, you disappear.
No, that's
right.
Never to be seen again.
Never to be seen again.
I mean, he had a deadly memory, like, you know. And then we did a video of him as well about all the old crafts, making thatching houses, and that. Another bit was about pastimes at wakes, games they played at wakes.
Can you remember any of them?
He had a whole thing about lifting somebody off the ground. You know, this thing. I can't describe all. Then they had they were rare, like, you know, but they actually did play games at wakes, and there's a whole lot of stuff that you just won't get anymore, you know. That's gone, you know.
So hopefully we'll get that there. It's interesting, isn't it,
It is very interesting,
I think Nathan maybe has the video. Maybe.
Brilliant. Nathan, no, you never tell me about it.
I thought I would get it at the time when he was there, you know.
No, you've done right, and and you know, you hear people saying all the time, "Oh, I wish I had a logged that," or "Oh, I wish I had a," you know. And I suppose,
it's too late.
and these podcasts, like I've talked with people, and like, you know, as I said, I've done Paddy's, I've done different people, and people have listened, and it's a lot of people are sort of looking upon it that it's just great to capture that heritage, you know, from the past, you know.
You'll not get it again. You'll never get it again.
Like, Uilleann have talked the heritage straight through there from the traditional music point of view, and I think it's amazing that you come in and give that, because I think if it's not captured, as you say, like your father got us, like going back to 1916, living up through that era and all, to have that on.
That's right. That's amazing.
And yourselves, I should say. You kept a culture, a music alive when we all grew up in times. It was hard enough to shift about.
Definitely,
wasn't it?
It was frowned upon.
You know,
you know, the whole idea of the culture and the music and the language and all the rest connects us to the place and to the land.
Yes.
And, you know, we live in a beautiful place in the Sperrins, and in the world we live in now, who wouldn't want to live in a place like that? Young
Yes.
people are coming back and settling
Yeah.
there, and there's all this craziness going on in the world out there, and community is important, and music, language, and all this is kind of a thing that
It's a lifeline.
melds people together. You know,
Lifeline.
and,
Yeah.
we have a past, we have a future. You know.
Yeah.
And I suppose it's part of our DNA. It is.
Yeah.
That sounds good.
Bernie, Maurice, thank you very much, and thank John for coming in and doing. I hope it wasn't two sore onions.
No,
You're a
it's
brilliant
all
guest,
really good.
and I really enjoyed talking to you. And,
Yeah.
Thank you
and,
very much, Paddy.
if anything's left out, it'll be my fault. All right.